When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do meaningful work every day. You get to be the biker who codes as fast as he rides, crafting advanced tech solutions that transform car buying, or a guitarist who develops harmonious apps and websites, connecting people and businesses, all in real time. A savvy soccer mom running solution sets as passionately as she runs gameplays. Be the super secret keeper, designing cybersecurity systems to protect private data and websites. A planet protector, expanding EV battery life and inventing more ways to build a better future for all. When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do career-defining work that solves the greatest problems of our time. Join us and connect to work that improves lives, including yours. Learn more about our family of businesses at cox.career/tech.
New year, new pleasure. Start 2025 with Starship's Customer Appreciation Days every day in January. Visit Starship locations on Old National Road in Atlanta, Terra Boulevard in Jonesboro, and Highway 34 in Noonan, and indulge in an extra 20% off when you whisper the secret keyword pleasure at checkout. Awaken your passions and spice up the new year with 20% off in-store every day in January. Just say the secret word pleasure. Make 2025 the year of endless pleasure with Starship, your trusted partner in sexual health and wellness.
Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A crime-filled Saturday with episodes of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. Also an episode of Dragnet, the Hallmark Playhouse with Raymond Massey. Also Have Gun Will Travel starring John Dehner. And an episode of Claudia. That's all straight ahead on this Saturday, 18th day of January, 347 days remaining until we get to 2025. James Cook, the first known European to discover the Hawaiian Islands back in 1778, which he names the Sandwich Islands. In 1788, the first 736 convicts banished from England to Australia landed in Botany Bay, creating the first Australian penal colony. In 1861, Georgia joined South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama in secession from the United States, the run-up to the Civil War. The X-ray machine exhibited for the first time on this date in 1896, and in 1903, Theodore Roosevelt sent a message of greetings from a Marconi station built near Wellfleet, Massachusetts, to King Edward VII of the United Kingdom, marking the first transatlantic radio transmission originating in the U.S. In 1911, Eugene B. Ely landed on the deck of the USS Pennsylvania, stationed in San Francisco Harbor, marking the first time an aircraft landed on a ship. In 1918, Woodrow Wilson delivered his 14-point speech in front of Congress. In 1919, Bentley Motor Car Company, Bentley Motors Limited, founded. In 1958, Willie O'Ree, the first African-American National Hockey League player, made his NHL debut with the Boston Bruins. In 1964, plans revealed for the World Trade Center in New York City. If they only knew. Beatles appeared on the Billboard magazine charts for the first time also on this date in 1964. In 1967, Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler, convicted of numerous crimes and sentenced to life in prison. There were questions about his guilt, but DeSalvo had confessed to murder.
I did strangle her with my two hands.
DeSalvo sentenced to life in prison. He was killed in prison in 1973. On this date in 1964, the $6 Million Man debuted on ABC.
I've got a blowout. Day for 3. Get your dish to 0. Inches out. I can't hold it out to 2. Correction. Alpha horizontal. Track collected emergently. Flight call. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
And that $6 million man would be over $38 million today. Debuted on ABC on this date in 1974. 1 year later, debuting on CBS, The Jeffersons.
We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
The Jeffersons having its root in All in the Family, and turned out to be a very successful show. Sherman Hemsley, The Jeffersons, on this date in 1975. 1977, scientists identified a previously unknown bacterium as the cause of the mysterious Legionnaire's disease. In 1983, the International Olympic Committee restored Jim Thorpe's Olympic medals to his family. And in 1990, former preschool operators Raymond Buckley and his mother Peggy McMartin Buckley acquitted in a Los Angeles court on counts of 52 child molestation charges. Juror Brenda Williams said the evidence had been poorly presented, making deliberations especially difficult.
We did the best job we could do with the information that was given to us.
Open and shut case is not always open and shut. Back in 1990, Washington, D.C. Mayor Marion Barry arrested for drug possession. As he was read his rights, he could be heard cursing the woman and his arrest.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions. You have a lawyer with you during the question. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish.
Barry convicted on a misdemeanor charge and received a 6-month prison term. In 1992, he began his political comeback by winning a seat on the D.C. City Council, and 2 years later, he ran again for mayor and won. And I don't know if that says more about D.C. and its citizens or about, I don't know. 1991, Eastern Airlines shut down after 62 years, financial problems the cause. And for the first time on this date in 1993, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday officially observed in all 50 United States. Passing away on this date in history, President John Tyler, writer Rudyard Kipling, actor, comedian Curly Howard of the Three Stooges, English actor Sidney Greenstreet. In fact, we'll have some Sidney Greenstreet tomorrow. Edward Farhat, the pro wrestler better known as the Sheik, the original Sheik, who was a bloody character. Also, politician, diplomat, the 21st ambassador to France, and the father of Maria Shriver, Sergeant Shriver. Singer, actor Glenn Frey. Such wonderful music. Coloratura soprano, 35 years with the Metropolitan Opera, Roberta Peters. Actress Yvette Mimieux. And from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, David Crosby, all passing away on this date in history. Birthdays on this date include Oliver Hardy.
Not only are you friends, but I noticed, for instance, whenever I spoke to Stan personally in the cabin before and after the interview I did with him, whenever he talks or refers to you, he doesn't call you Oliver or Hardy. That's right. You're Babe to him, and that, I think, typifies your relationship and friendship.
Well, it's a funny way that I got the name of Babe. That was years and years ago, and then I had my first shave. So the barber went in, and he charged a dime, and he put some powder. He says, "That's all right, baby. You'll clean." So that name is stuck ever since.
Oliver Hardy, born on this date. We lost him far too young in 1957. Also born on this date, statesman Daniel Webster, author A.A. Milne, the man behind Winnie the Pooh. Also actor Cary Grant, baseball player Curt Flood, Temptation singer David Ruffin, and the delightful Danny Kaye. In this clip, he talks about his 1971 movie, The Court Jester.
I had never held a sword in my hand in my whole life. And when we decided to do this film, they said, well, let's get a fencing instructor and find out, teach you how to fence. Well, for about a week, I never had a sword in my hand, but they had a wall and a 2x4, and I would practice lunging. You see?
A 2x4?
Yeah. There was the wall. Here was a wall, and they put a 2x4, and you had to stay in it. Now, if you lunged and bent your back, you'd be thrown off balance. So you had to learn to lunge with a straight back. And for a week, I never had a sword in my hand. And then finally he came in one day, and we had a foil. And we were practicing routines with the foil, and we were doing that for about a week or more. And one day he came in, and he put a sword in my hand, and I knew instantly it was my weapon. It was a saber.
Danny Kaye on the Johnny Carson show back in 1971. Danny Kaye, a delightfully funny man. He was born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
A wonderful musician. He's doing a lot of painting now, but had a #1 song that brought me to tears. Bobby Goldsboro, 84 years old today.
1968. #1.
And honey, I miss you. And I'm being good. And I'd love to be with you. If only I could.
Oh, it still brings me to tears today. Such a delightful and heartwarming song. Honey, Bobby Goldsboro, and so many great songs. Very underrated. 84 years old, Bobby Goldsboro today. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And if you just think of him of his time in the WWE, and he started having back problems back in that time. But if you see some of his crazy stuff he did in Mid-South Wrestling, Ted DiBiase, second-generation wrestler, 71 years old today. If I remember correctly, his father passed away in the ring, but he still went on and did it. Also 71 today, the Thompson twins' Tom Bailey. Turning 70 today, Kevin Costner.
I believe in the sweet spot, softcore pornography, opening your presents Christmas morning rather than Christmas Eve, and I believe in long, slow, deep, soft, wet kisses that last 3 days.
From Bull Durham, Kevin Costner, 70 today. The wrestler known as Batista, who has moved on to motion pictures. Dave Batista, 56 today. And from How I Met Your Mother and Freaks and Geeks, Jason Segel is 45. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 18th day of January as their birthday. If this is your birthday.
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you.
We'll start out with a crime-filled version of Suspense. This episode features one of the most evil, nasty, criminal men you'd ever imagine. In a story from 71 years ago, January 18th, 1954. The episode is entitled The Face is Familiar, starring, Jack Benny.
When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do meaningful work every day. You get to be the biker who codes as fast as he rides, crafting advanced tech solutions that transform car buying. Or a guitarist who develops harmonious apps and websites, connecting people to people and businesses, all in real time. A savvy soccer mom running solution sets as passionately as she runs gameplays. Be the super secret keeper, designing cybersecurity systems to protect private data and websites. A planet protector, expanding EV battery life and inventing more ways to build a better future for all. When you work in tech at Cox, you get to do career-defining work that solves the greatest problems of our time. Join us and connect to work that improves lives, including yours. Learn more about our family of businesses at cox.career/tech.
New year, new pleasure. Start 2025 with Starship's Customer Appreciation Days every day in January. Visit Starship locations on Old National Road in Atlanta, Terra Boulevard in Jonesboro, and Highway 34 in Noonan, and indulge in an extra 20% off when you whisper the secret keyword pleasure at checkout. Awaken your passions and spice up the new year with 20% off in-store every day in January. Just say the secret word pleasure. Make 2025 the year of endless pleasure with Starship, your trusted partner in sexual health and wellness.
The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly. But then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com.
Let's look ahead to 1966, and there you are in your beautiful new home. You've got automatic gadgets everywhere. There's a sparkling new dream car in your garage. The youngsters are in a fine college. All's right with the world. Is this just an idle dream? No, this is a real future that you can start building right now. A secure, carefree, prosperous future built with United States savings bonds. In 10 years, you'll get back $4 for every $3 you've invested. Join the payroll savings plan where you work, or buy bonds where you bank. Start in 1956 to make 1966 the beginning of the golden years.
Now, Jack Benny made 4 appearances on Suspense. You can read about them all at classicradio.stream. You got to go to the second page to find the link to the story. But first appeared in 1951, in April 1951, Murder in G-Flat. He would appear in June 1952, A Good and Faithful Servant. Both fairly dramatic episodes. And then in 1953, February of 1953, he appeared in a science fiction episode called Plan X, where he played a Martian. And this is his final appearance on Suspense, January 18, 1954, 71 years ago. The face is familiar. He's joined by Sheldon Leonard as one of the robbers in this. And, well, you know, they're delightful. And Elliot Lewis was the producer-director doing these shows. And so there you go. Elliot Lewis bringing Jack Benny to Suspense. And we'll hear about that right now. 71 years ago, January 18th, 1954, Suspense.
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Jack Benny in tonight's presentation of Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite presents the story of a successful bank robbery, including the astounding history of the unhappy man who perpetrated the crime. It's called The Face is Familiar. Our star, in his first dramatic appearance of the season, Mr. Jack Benny.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for the world-famous Autolite family. Tonight, we announce the $100,000 Autolite family charity drawing. During the next 11 weeks, all of you 18 years of age or over can take part in this greatest of all charitable events. And here's how. Just visit the showroom of any Autolite family car dealer and sign your name and address on the registration form he gives you. Ask him to sign the receipt portion. That's all. Nothing else to do. No need to buy a thing. And yet, you may be one of 25 selected to name the recognized charities that will receive a total of $100,000 in cash on the 1st of June. Think of it, thousands of dollars in cash to be given to your favorite recognized charity or charities if you are one of the favorite persons. So go tonight, go tomorrow to Autolite family car dealers and sign your name and address to the registration form he gives you. Later on, I'll tell you the names of the Autolite family car dealers who are participating in this great Autolite family charity event.
And now, Autolite presents transcribed The Face is Familiar, starring Mr. Jack Benny, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
See, I still can't understand why they picked me, of all people. Me, of all people. That's why it's so hard to believe. That it all happened, I mean. But it did. It really did. Just because I like to go to the railroad station. Walk around, look at the trains, study faces. I never forget a face. I never forget a train, either. But it's easier to forget a face. But a matter of fact, I remember some faces that would be a lot better for me to forget. Like Harry Edmonds' face, for instance. That's the day it all started. The day I saw Harry Edmond way across on the other side of the terminal. That's the station. He was talking to a big fellow. Harry's face I remembered right away. I never saw the big fellow before.
Better get going, Harry.
But you can't pull off the job.
I stuck up a bank before.
Yeah, sure, and they'd spot you the minute you walked in.
I know you, too. This is your hometown.
Well, sure, neither one of us is right.
Let the boss decide. Come on.
I thought about it on the train down. We need somebody new.
We're not splitting this stake with anybody else. It goes three ways now.
Look, if we have to, we have to. And if we wait too long, we gotta let the whole thing go until next month.
Then we wait.
Not from me. This town is too hot for me. Somebody is liable to recognize me.
Yoo-hoo, Harry! Harry Edmond!
Who's that?
Where?
Over there, some guy calling you.
Harry Edmond, you old son of a gun.
Brush this guy.
Well, good old Harry Edmond.
You got me mixed up with somebody else, mister.
No, I haven't. I know who you are.
Yeah?
Harry Edmond. You used to live on 12th Street and 2nd Avenue.
What city?
This city. Here. Don't you remember me, Harry?
Can't say as I do, so...
Harry! Oh, Harry Edmond! Harry! Hey, Harry, no kidding. You remember me, don't you? Seriously, Harry. You remember Pinky Smith? He had a wart on his finger. And Alan Davenport. He had a birthmark on his neck. Well, I'm Tom Jones. I have nothing. I'm clean.
Brush him, get rid of him.
No, wait. I think we got our answer.
Yeah.
I think we got the agent paid to handle some of our bank business.
Harry, try to remember. Go ahead now. Try to remember.
Yeah, 12th Street and 2nd Avenue.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I used to live around there somewhere, but I still can't...
Let me give you a hint.
Go ahead.
Remember Gordon's candy store on the corner? And remember the great bunch of guys who used to hang out there?
Yeah.
And remember those pesky kids who used to tag along, nagging, saying, let us in. Can we come too? Always pesting. Always trying to horn in. Well, one of them was me, Tom Jones. Remember me now, Harry?
What'd you say your name was again?
Jones. Tom Jones.
The name sounds very familiar.
We grew up together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are you doing these days?
Oh, a little bit of everything. And you?
Banking.
Oh, money, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice field. Well, I gotta go look at the people. It was good talking over old times with you, Harry.
Hey, come on.
No, wait a minute. Look, you mind waiting a minute? What's your name again?
Tom Jones. Remember?
Oh, yeah, Tom. Yeah, well, wait a minute, huh?
Well, I'm kind of busy. Lots of appointments this afternoon.
Oh, I'd like talking over old times with you, Tom. Maybe we could have a drink and dinner.
Well...
On me.
Oh, well, yeah.
Good, except that Joe has an appointment here. Joe, couldn't you break it? Wait here a second.
Tom, Tom Jones.
Tom, yeah. Joe, come here. Let me talk to you a second.
What?
Now I know I got the answer. I know I found the pigeon who's going to do it for us.
Let the boss figure that out.
I tell you, I got it figured. Look at that guy.
Yeah?
He is it.
Him? He don't look like nothing.
Right, he's nothing. Isn't that what we want? Nobody that anybody ever saw before. Nobody that anybody would ever think of looking at twice.
Job's ready.
And if we don't pull it this afternoon, we lose another whole month, so come on. Oh, Joe can make it. He is going to join us. Joe, I forgot to introduce you. Have you met,
It's Jones, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones, yeah. Well, Tom, meet Joe, and don't get sore. He's a kid I grew up with, Joe. We're going to have a great time talking over old times, you know, Second Avenue. That's right, and your name is Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I must admit it is a difficult name to remember because it's so common. Don't you think so?
Oh, yeah, I sure do.
Well, it'll certainly be nice talking over old times.
Oh, yeah, I haven't talked over old times in a long time.
Well. Harry Edmund.
Yes, sir, and good old,
Tom.
Tom, yeah. Better get started.
Where to?
I want you to meet another old friend of mine.
Harry must have been doing very well. Very well. I mean, for a man in the money game. He had a brand new sedan with real leather upholstery. I know it was real leather because that used to be my game. Leather upholstery. Not much money in it, at least not for me. But I didn't let Harry know that. No, sir. What if he ran into another old friend from 2nd Avenue? The other old friend said, "How's old Tom Jones doing?" And Harry said, "Not very well. Not very well at all." Well, that can hurt a man once it gets around.
And then what happened?
Well, when I came back to the main office, I said I want 40% commission from now on.
Really?
But, of course, that would have made me a partner, the boss said.
Uh-huh.
After all, Harry, I'm not the kind of a guy who can be cooped up in an office. I've been a road man. The lure of the open road.
Oh, yeah.
The call of the open streets. See, I'm an outdoor type of salesman. Something of the pioneer kind, you know? Pioneer?
Yeah, pioneer, yeah.
You see, there are those salesmen who are made for offices and those of us who get out and break the plains, so to speak.
Tom, you surprise me.
Oh, I could keep going for hours, Harry. Literally hours.
Yeah, well, why don't you hold on to some of it till we have dinner?
Oh, sure. Hey, I'll bet you never expected that pesky little kid who always used to hang around to get so big in his field.
Oh, I certainly didn't. We could sure use somebody like you in our outfit, Tom.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now, that's very flattering, but I'm not sure it's right for me. I'd have to...
Bet I could get you, I don't know, maybe $10,000 a year to start with.
$10,000 a year, you say?
Yeah.
Well, I'd sure like to think about it.
Well, you talk to my boss. Maybe he can convince you.
I'm willing to listen, Harry. I'm willing to listen, all right. The business Harry was in was mighty successful, if the home of his boss was any indication. It was a beautiful big yellow house with a lovely green front door, and you could tell it was the home of a man who had worked his way up and knew what to do with what he had. Inside it was very homey. 2 fireplaces in the living room that looked like they were burning. A beautiful plaid carpet that must have been a real Oriental, and they wanted me in the business. Me, Tom Jones, of all people.
Brandy, Mr. Jones?
No, thanks. Thanks. Spoil my dinner.
Cigar?
Well...
All clear Havana?
Oh, I can see that. I can always tell a good cigar just by looking at it. I know cigars, and faces, and trains.
You're a very well-informed man, Mr. Jones.
Well, you're kind of unusual yourself.
Why?
You remember my name.
Don't most people?
Most people don't even recognize me. People I've known for years.
Is that so?
Now, don't get me wrong. It's an asset in my business. See, people who tell me no when I try to sell them something say, come back next year. But I come back next week, and they don't even remember I was in the first time. Believe me, a face like mine doesn't come along every day.
I like you, Tom. Mind if I call you Tom?
Certainly not, Mr.
Just call me Boss. Everybody calls me that, especially people I like, and I like you.
I like you, too, Boss.
Then you're interested in coming into the organization?
Oh, I might give it a whirl. Let's put it that way.
I wouldn't want it any other way. A trial for both of us.
And the pay Harry mentioned?
Oh, I told him a starting salary, boy.
Let's talk about that at dinner. Come on, we'd better get started.
Isn't 2:45 in the afternoon a little early for dinner?
We have a few errands to do. Excuse us just a minute?
Oh, of course, sure.
You like the idea?
Perfect. Nobody'll ever remember. I couldn't even describe to you what he looks like. Where's the satchel?
Right here, boss.
I thought you put the note inside.
Well, we wanted you to okay it first. Here, read it.
You are being covered by a gun from 2 different places in this bank. Do not send an alarm or you will be killed. Put $50,000 in the satchel. That's it, on a note.
How will you get him to take it in?
I always come up with the answer, don't I?
Yeah, sure, boss.
Come on, let's go.
Oh, we talked it over, and the boss likes you a lot.
For the last time, it's Jones. Tom Jones.
Yeah, well, I was only kidding, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
We better get started.
Where to first?
To the bank, Tom.
That's very kind, but completely unnecessary. I don't need my salary in advance.
I told you this is a high-class outfit.
To the bank. Gee.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Jack Benny in The Face is Familiar, tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. This is Harlow Wilcox again. Tonight, the worldwide Autolite family is privileged to salute a distinguished member, the DeSoto division of Chrysler Corporation. So I've stopped in at my local DeSoto Plymouth dealers to learn all about the wonderful DeSoto's 454.
Well, you're right about the new DeSoto automatics, Mr. Wilcox. They are wonderful, and for many reasons. For instance, there's the great DeSoto 170 horsepower Fire Dome V8 engine, the world's most efficient engine design.
Well, explain why, Mr. Dealer.
The secret's in the hemispherical design of the combustion chamber. That's where your fuel is exploded to give you power. This design squeezes every last drop of power out of your fuel. Lets you use regular gasoline for real economy. This, plus DeSoto's fully automatic power flight transmission, power steering, power brakes, and Autolite electrical equipment are just a few of the many reasons why the 1954 DeSoto automatics put you ahead automatically.
Thank you, Mr. Dealer. Autolite is proud of its long connection with DeSoto and DeSoto Plymouth dealers everywhere. And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Jack Benny in Elliot Lewis's production of The Face is Familiar, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Gee, isn't it funny how you wait a long time for your ship to come in? There I was, watching a train, and my ship came in. Just because I recognized Harry's face. Well, you gotta keep on your toes in this world. Because when opportunity knocks at your door, you gotta be all set to open it. Well, anyway, I'd opened the door, and before I knew it, we were downtown. bank already? I hardly noticed we were moving.
Do you mind waiting a few minutes?
Oh, not at all.
I like you, Tom.
Let me tell you, I like you, too.
I'm certainly glad Harry met you after all these years.
And I'm glad, too. I like Harry.
And I like you, too, Tom.
Tom, yeah. You know, I feel like I've known all of you. Just all of you since 2nd Avenue. Boss, I even feel like I grew up with you.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Tom. Who's going to get the payroll?
Is that why we stopped at the bank? You pick up your own payroll?
Sure, why not?
For how much?
$50,000.
$50,000? And you pick it up yourself?
It's my money, and I worked hard for it. It's my way. And if you don't like my way of doing things, Tom...
No, not at all. I've always felt, personally, I've always felt that people should pick up their own money. Always. Especially if it's $50,000 or more. Besides, armored cars haven't been doing too well in the past few years.
I like the way you think.
Well, maybe we should all pick up the payroll.
Wouldn't that make us a little too conspicuous?
Yes.
Besides, I want to discuss you a little more. I think you'll work out.
Fine. Say, maybe Harry can pick up the money while we talk.
I wanted to discuss you with Harry.
Oh. Well, how about Joe?
Joe picked it up last time. I don't like the same man going in twice in a row.
See, not Harry, not Joe, or you. Me?
I hate to ask you. You're not really part of my organization yet, and I don't like to see a man work unless he gets paid for it.
Well, I'd be happy to. Just delighted. Besides, I'm going to have to get used to large sums of money, and I guess there's no time to start like the present.
Just take this satchel up to the window and give it to the teller. The withdrawal slip is inside. The teller will know exactly what to do.
Fine. Oh, sure, of course.
Now, boss, wait until he's in.
Did you call me?
No. Go right ahead.
My, it's certainly crowded. So many people waiting in line.
Yeah.
People certainly must be doing well these days.
Yeah.
I'm very busy myself, you know.
So?
I have some friends waiting for me outside.
Good.
I was just wondering, if you weren't in a hurry, would you mind...
No.
Oh. These lines certainly move slowly, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, he certainly took long enough at that window.
Yeah.
I hate people who dawdle over money. Don't you?
I guess.
Your transaction isn't going to take very long, is it?
Nope.
Good. That big bag you're carrying had me worried.
Yeah?
What sort of business are you in?
Penny vending machines.
Pennies? All those are pennies?
Something wrong with pennies?
Oh, no. No, of course not. Excuse me. I think I'll try that other line. My, it's certainly crowded.
I beg your pardon?
I say it's crowded. There's such a big bank. Wouldn't you think they'd have more tellers?
I certainly do.
I mean, one, say, to handle pennies and so forth, you know. Well, there's one gone. I like the way that teller works.
I suppose.
Will your transaction take long?
Oh, no.
Good. I'm in a terrible hurry. Some friends are waiting for me on the outside.
Next, please.
Yes, madam.
Well, in 1950, my husband opened an account in his name, a savings account. Then he transferred it to a checking account. Then we split up that money and opened a joint savings account and joint checking account. But we found out we didn't really close the other savings account. Of course, we thought we did, so some of our checking deposits have been...
Look, don't you think you should see the manager instead of taking this teller's time?
I'll handle this, sir, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
Madam, would you please take this up with the manager?
But if you don't mind, may I get to the window?
Well...
Yes?
The withdrawal slip is in the bag.
Oh, a withdrawal. Next window, please.
Now, just a minute. You in there, teller. Open up.
Yes, sir?
See, I've been moving from line to line, and I insist you handle this.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't violate the rules for anyone.
But this is a very important matter, you know. This isn't just some piddling sum.
How much are you withdrawing, sir?
I believe it's $50,000.
Oh, you're quite right. That is a lot of money. Now, will you please remove this bag and go to the next window?
Well, all right. At least the lines are getting shorter.
Yes, they are.
Wouldn't you think a bank this size could afford a few extra tellers?
Well, how do you mean?
Like, say, one kind of teller to handle only pennies and another kind to handle matters of $50,000 or more.
I beg your pardon?
I suppose that sounds a little strange, but you'd be surprised how it would speed things up.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it needs it. See, I came in feeling fine, just fine. Now I'm nervous from waiting.
I'll be through in a minute.
Well, it's terribly important. You see, some people are waiting for me outside.
Next, please. Here you are. 20, 30, 40. Thank you. Next, please.
Yes. Oh, wait, just a minute.
Something wrong?
I'll be back in a minute. My friends are calling me. Did you fellas call me?
No, go back.
But someone honked the horn. I saw somebody else wave.
Go back.
A mistake. Just turn around and go back. We'll be here.
Oh, sure, of course. All right, sir, here's the bag.
Your deposit slip, sir.
Withdrawal. The slip is on the inside. From time to time.
Is this a joke, mister?
Listen, you. I've had enough. Now, you can read, can't you?
Yes, sir.
Then don't dawdle. Do what it says. That's fine. That's much better.
Yes, sir. Come on.
Go get it.
Well, here's the money.
Give me that.
Hey, Harry! Where are you going? Stop! What are you doing? Harry!
That got him. All right, Jenkins, take some rope down there and tie their hands.
I set off the alarm as fast as I could, officer.
Oh, come on, let's get down there. You can show me which one of those guys held you up.
All right, officer. I'm sure I'll remember it.
Hey, this is terrible.
Step back, buddy.
But it was me.
It was you what?
It was me, officer. Look, I took the bag in and I didn't know.
Are you kidding?
Teller, look at me.
I am. You must be nuts.
No, I'm not nuts. It's me. Don't you recognize my face? Look at it.
Nothing like it.
What did the fellow look like?
Well, he had a lean face. Or slightly fat. No, lean. And brown eyes. No. Oh, gosh, I don't know.
It was me. Look, blue eyes, see? Me. And I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Now beat it, Bud. Now think hard.
I am. But it was the most nondescript face I've ever seen.
Well, that's pretty nasty if you ask me.
Tell me what you remember.
I can.
I was standing there. I just counted out $40.
Look, and I walked up to the window.
Oh, it wasn't you. This fellow was about 6 feet tall. Or 5 1/2.
5 feet 8. I'm 5 feet 8.
And you had a real menacing look.
No, I was smiling. See, look, I'm smiling. Look. Now, do you remember?
Now, look here. Get out of here before I run you in.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I remember now. He was 6 feet tall. He had red hair. He was carrying a gun. He had a handkerchief over the lower part of his face. And he carried a cane.
Well, that's what happened. That was an eyewitness account of a bank robbery from the man who did it. Here I walked into the bank, robbed them of $50,000, and didn't even know I was doing it. Imagine. And nobody recognized me. They didn't know my face. You know, I bet I could walk into another bank and do the same thing. Nah, I better not.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Jack Benny. Be sure you take part in the great Autolite Family charity drawing now at your Autolite Family car dealers. No need to buy a thing. Just sign your name to the registration form he gives you. Ask him to sign the receipt portion. You may be one of 25 selected to name the recognized charities that will share a total of this $100,000 cash distribution on June 1st. Here are the car dealers in your territory who have the Autolite Family charity drawing registration forms. DeSoto, Hudson, Dodge, Nash, Packard, Plymouth, Kaiser, Studebaker, Willis, and Chrysler. Visit them tomorrow. Fill out a registration form. Do your part to help favorite charities in your community. Share in this $100,000 cash distribution. Next week, a story based on fact. The dramatization of one man's deadly way of earning his living. All he needed was the morning newspaper, a telephone, and a gun. It's called Want Ad. Our star, Mr. Robert Cummings. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is transcribed and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucien Morawick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. The Face is Familiar was written for Suspense by Arthur Ross. In tonight's story, Sheldon Leonard was heard as Harry and Clayton Post as Joe. Featured in the cast were Joseph Kearns, Herb Butterfield, Gene Wood, Hy Averback, and Stan Farrar.
The Jack Benny Show may be heard every Sunday on the CBS Radio Network.
Yeah, why do it? 71 years ago, January 18, 1954, Suspense with Jack Benny. Here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Have a link to our story about Jack's appearances on Suspense in the show notes. Coming up next now, an episode of Dragnet starring Jack Webb.
New year, new pleasure. Start 2025 with Starship's Customer Appreciation Days every day in January. Visit Starship locations on Old National Road in Atlanta, Terra Boulevard in Jonesboro, and Highway 34 in Noonan. And indulge in an extra 20% off when you whisper the secret keyword pleasure at checkout. Awaken your passions and spice up the new year with 20% off in-store every day in January. Just say the secret word pleasure. Make 2025 the year of endless pleasure with Starship, your trusted partner in sexual health and wellness.
The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly, but then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com.
2025, are you ready to rock? Dave's Killer Bread is ready to rock 2025 and your reset this January with killer taste, killer nutrition, and a killer sweepstakes to win a VIP concert prize pack with round-trip airfare, luxury hotel stay, and much more. Text RESET to 73876 and enter for a chance to win. Dave's Killer Bread. Bread amplified. No purchase necessary. Visit daveskillerbread.com/reset for details.
Our religious institutions are strongholds of the American way of life. Our country was founded by men who had faith in God and who were willing to endure hardship and sacrifice for the sake of that faith. Today, the religious institutions in your community need your interest and support, so take an active part in religious affairs. Your pastor, rabbi, or priest will give you invaluable family counsel and aid if you are a newcomer to the community. To face the problems of the future, America must be morally strong. And that moral strength comes through worship and faith. Go to church this week and take someone with you.
Hope you'll do that tomorrow. Saturday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with an episode of Dragnet. We're going back 72 years to January 16, 1953. The story, The Big String.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A man walks into your office and tells you he returned to his home to find that his wife was gone. She left no indication where she was going. Foul play is suspected. Your job, find her. The modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. Premium quality in both regular and king size. And we're the only one that does it.
Premium quality in a cigarette means the world's best tobaccos, the best ingredients, the best cigarette paper. Only Chesterfield gives you this premium quality in both popular sizes.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. That's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There's absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
Yes, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. Premium quality, both regular and king-size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 7th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on my way into work, and it was 4:58 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
John, that you?
Yeah. Been here long?
No, I just got in. Sure a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah, summer's really here, isn't it?
It's daylight saving time makes a difference. Got a lot more time, seems like. Made me think about my vacation.
Well, you're doing a couple of weeks, aren't you?
Yeah, first part of August.
Mm-hmm. Figured out where you're going yet?
Yeah, Fay and I talked it out. You know, Joe?
Oh, what's that?
I think maybe I had Armin figured wrong.
Armin? That's your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Fay and I got to talking where we're going to spend the vacation. Fay wants to go up to Big Bear. I'm saying Mexico.
Yeah?
You know, I figure a little fishing. I hear the yellows are hitting pretty good.
The what?
Yellowtails.
Oh, yeah.
You don't fish much, do you?
No, I don't fish at all.
Well, they're supposed to be hitting pretty good, but Fay can't see Mexico. And darn if old Armin doesn't chime in and say he thinks Mexico's a great idea.
Well, that's swell.
Yeah, tells Fay all about the beaches down there, and how good the food is, all about the air, healthy. You know, really sells her.
So that's where you're going, huh?
No, Faye didn't buy it. Go in the mountains.
Well, fishing's supposed to be pretty good up there, too, isn't it? That's what I've read, I guess.
I suppose so, but... Oh, Larman, how do you like that guy? He sure surprised me.
Yeah, maybe he's going to work out, huh?
Yeah.
I'll get it.
Okay.
Homicide, Friday. Yes, sir, it is. I beg your pardon. Could you talk a little louder? Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Well, when was that? I see. When? Yes, sir. What was that address again? All right, I have it. Yes. Yes, sir, that's right. We'll be right out. Right, bye. Well, we got one to roll on. Kidnapping out in Hollywood. The man on the phone gave his name as Henry Wagner. He said that he'd come home from work and found that his wife was gone. He said on the phone that he'd found a note demanding ransom and cautioning him against calling the police. 5:22 p.m. Frank and I arrived at the house on Temple Hill Avenue. We parked the car down the street from the house and went up to the front door. Frank would remain in the car for a few minutes and then follow. In that way, if the kidnappers were watching the house, they wouldn't be as likely to know that we were working on the case. I rang the bell and waited.
Yes, you the police?
Yes, sir, that's right. My name's Friday.
Oh, hello. Come in, please, quickly. I don't want them to see you.
Who's them, sir?
The kidnappers. They might be watching. I don't know what I'm going to do. Terrible thing to have happen. Just doesn't make sense.
All right, now, sir, if you just try to calm down and tell me what happened here. We want to start right from the beginning.
All right. I got home from school about 4:30. Myra wasn't here. I looked at the house for her, figured, like you said on the phone, that she might have gone to the store. When I couldn't find her, I started looking for a note. That's when I found the ransom demand right there on the coffee table.
And you said you got home from school, is that it?
Yes, I teach political science at the university.
Well, when did you last see your wife?
When I left this morning, about 7:30, I have a class at 8.
Have you talked to her since?
Yes, I called her about 1:15.
Did everything seem all right then? I mean, did she seem to be upset, anything like that?
No, everything seemed to be normal.
Did she say if there was anyone with her when you talked to her?
No, if there was, she didn't give any indication of it.
I see.
I know that this isn't a hoax, if that's what you're thinking. I know that Myra wouldn't do a thing like this. She's a serious woman. I guess you might say that she had a rather dull sense of humor. No, I know that she wouldn't do a thing like this as a joke.
Well, no, sir, it's not that. I'm just trying to get all the facts here. Wonder if I could see the note.
Yes, I left it over here on the desk.
That'll be my partner. I'll let him in if it's all right. There, Frank. Yeah, money. See here? Yeah. Mr. Wagner, this is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do,
Mr.
sir?
Wagner.
How do you do? I'll get the note.
Well, I'd rather you wouldn't handle it anymore, sir.
Oh, all right. You're going to try to get some fingerprints from it? That right?
Well, that's the idea, yes, sir.
You read it, Joe?
Yeah, it's made up of newsprint. It's been cut out of the paper. Looks like one of the morning papers.
Yeah.
I'll read it to you. It says put $10,000 in 5s, 10s, and 20s in a shoebox. Make sure the bills are unmarked. On July 8th, drive up Deer Canyon Drive at 10:30 p.m., 5 miles past the turnoff. You'll see a white string across the road. Drop the shoebox out of the car, go on back home. Your wife will be returned. Don't tell the cops. If you tell anybody, we'll kill your wife.
Deer Canyon Drive.
Yeah, you know, it's up above Laurel.
Oh, yeah. $10,000. Do you have that kind of money, Mr. Wagner?
No, sir. I don't know how I'm going to raise it. I have to, but I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Have you noticed anyone lately that's been in the neighborhood here? I mean, anybody loitering around without any reason to be here?
No, I haven't. Of course, you must understand I'm not home a great deal. But Myra didn't say anything about it. I'm sure she would have if she'd seen anybody like that.
You and your wife have any enemies that'd do a thing like this, would you know?
None that I can think of.
You have any household help?
I beg pardon?
Household help. Anyone that comes in to help your wife with the housework. You know, a day maid, something like that.
Well, there's Betty Jo. She comes in once a week to clean up the house.
When was she last here?
Let me see. That was Saturday. That's her usual day. Saturday, I guess it was then.
Didn't you see her last week?
No. You see, I had to go out by Pomona this last weekend. Series of lectures I wanted to catch. I left early Saturday morning, didn't get back until late that night.
Did your wife go with you?
No, she stayed at home. She had a little touch of the virus and figured she'd better stay at home and take care of it. Are you sure this is the right thing to do? Maybe I should have handled this myself.
No, sir, you did the right thing. I wonder if you could give us a description of your wife, Mr. Wagner.
Why? You aren't going to tell anyone else about this, are you?
No, sir. The information will be handled in the usual confidential manner.
Oh. Well, I guess you men know what you're doing.
All right, sir, if you'd just give us a description, if you could.
Well, Myra is about 5'3". I guess she weighs about 130 pounds.
Mm-hmm. How old is she, sir?
42, just turned 42. Birthday last month, June 14th.
How about the color of her hair?
Sort of an auburn, I guess you'd call it. A little gray up in here, along the sides.
Mm-hmm. Would you know what she was wearing?
No, I wouldn't have the slightest idea. I don't know her clothes well enough to be able to look at what's in her closet and tell you what she had on.
Mm-hmm. How about marks?
I don't think I understand.
I'm sorry. I mean, any visible birthmarks or scars, anything that might make it easier to identify her.
No, I don't think so. Oh, wait a minute. There's a very small scar just under her ear right here. A couple of years ago, Myra and I went fishing up in the Sierras. Myra got a trout fly caught there. When they took it out, it left just a very small scar. But I don't think you'd be able to see it unless you were really looking for it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else outstanding about her?
No, there isn't.
I wonder if we could have a photo of her. Do you have one?
Of course.
Wonder if you'd give us the address of this Betty Jo?
Surely. I think Myra kept it in the phone book. I'll look for you. Do you think they'll really do it, officer? Kill Myra?
Well, we're going to try to stop them, sir. I don't think so.
Well, how about the money? Should I get it together? Not a lot of time if I have to meet them tomorrow night.
We'll take care of that.
Here's the address.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know what I'll do if they hurt Myra. I just don't know. It's odd, isn't it, Sergeant?
What's that?
Myra and I have been married for 22 years. I guess I always just took her for granted. Haven't been separated at all during that time. Just took her for granted.
Yes, sir.
I guess you have to lose something before you know what it's worth.
5:43 p.m. We asked Mr. Wagner not to touch anything in the house. We told him that after his wife had been returned and our men could move safely about the neighborhood, the house would be gone over for physical evidence. 2 men came out from the office and a stakeout was placed on the house. The note was taken downtown and photographed. Dean Bergman lifted several clean prints from it. However, comparison with those taken from Mr. Wagner eliminated them. The maid, Betty Jo, was contacted, but she could tell us nothing. In the meantime, Sergeant J. Allen of the crime lab prepared a shoebox as directed by the abductors. Dummy packages of money were placed in the box, and the container was wiped clean of all fingerprints. The area where the meet was to take place was staked out. The following morning, Wednesday, July 8th, Henry Wagner went to teach his classes at the university as usual. Late in the afternoon, he returned home, and at 9:45 p.m., he got into his car and left the house. I'd gotten into the back seat of the car earlier, and I kept out of sight. In an undercover unit behind us, Frank, Lieutenant Gorham, and Gil Encinas kept us under observation in the event that we missed contact with the kidnappers. 10:26 p.m. We turned off Benedict Canyon onto Deer Canyon Drive.
I hope I'm doing the right thing. I can't help thinking of what they might do to Myra.
Try to take it easy, Mr. Wagner. We know how you feel. Everything that can be done has been taken care of here.
That's what you've been telling me for the past hour. Doesn't make me feel any better about what's happening.
Can you still see that car behind us?
No. I think they dropped back when we turned off Benedict.
Uh-huh. How's it look up ahead?
Can't see much. Dark.
How far off the canyon have we come?
About 4.5 miles.
You got your box right there ready to throw it out?
Yes, sir. Right here on the seat.
All right, now remember, when you toss it out, try to lift it by the strings.
Right, I'll remember. I just hope we're doing the right thing. I'll never forgive myself if anything happens to Myra. $10,000 just isn't worth it. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. String across the road.
See anybody around it?
No, so dark. I can't see anything but what's in front of the car.
How close are we to the place here?
About 50 or 60 feet.
All right, now take it slow. Don't give any indication that you aren't doing exactly what they told you to. And remember, don't handle that box. Hold it with a string.
All right. We're here. I'm throwing the box out.
All right, now close your door.
What now?
Go up the road a little, and then turn around and drive back. Act like everything is just the way they told you to handle it.
All right.
Take it easy now.
We can turn around here.
All right. You see anyone move for the money?
No, not yet. Maybe when I get turned around. Just a second. There's a driveway here. Oh, it's pretty dark back there.
All right, can you see anything at all?
Nothing there. I don't see anyone.
All right, now just keep driving. If there's anybody to pick up the money, it'll look better if you don't cause any trouble.
I don't know about all of this, Sergeant. Somehow I still can't get the idea out of my mind that we've done the wrong thing. That they know all about it, that they're going to kill Myra.
Well, there's no reason that they should know that there's anything wrong, Mr. Wagner. From what they can see, you're doing just what they told you. They got nothing to tell them any different here.
But what if they found out? What if they know that you're working on the case? What if they know about it? They might kill Myra. I'd never forgive myself. I never should have told you about it. I should have taken care of it myself. They'll kill her. I know they will. They'll kill her because you're working on it. The way it is now, she hasn't got a chance.
No, you're wrong there, Wagner. The odds are on her side now. 10:45 p.m. Henry Wagner and I left the meeting place. About a mile down Deer Canyon Drive, Wagner dropped me off, and then he started down Benedict Canyon Drive and continued on home. I met with Frank, Lieutenant Gorham, and Sergeant Gil Encinas, and we started back on foot. We cut off the road and waited on the hill overlooking the meeting place. Frank told me that they'd seen no activity on the road while Wagner and I were making the meet. We moved in closer. 11:30 p.m. No sign of the kidnappers. The moon came up and we could see the white string across the road. In a patch of manzanita, we could see the shoebox containing the dummy packages of money. We waited. Midnight. 1:30 a.m. Still no sign of the kidnappers. 2:30. 4. At 4:45 a.m., the sun came up and Frank and I left the area. Lieutenant Gorham and Sergeant Gil Encinas continued to stake the meeting place. If the kidnappers had been in the vicinity, we'd missed them. Our only course now was to wait for them to contact Henry Wagner again. 8:15 a.m. Frank and I checked out and went on home to take a shower and get something to eat. At 11:12 a.m. Thursday morning, we checked back into the office.
Rough night, huh?
Yeah, there's nothing to show for it.
Anything from Gorman and Encinas?
No, I don't see anything.
There's one thing I found out.
What's that?
I need a heavier coat for nights.
Yeah?
Saw an ad in the magazine. Advertised those English duffel coats. Look real good.
What?
Duffel coats. Wore 'em in the North Atlantic during the war. You know, Joe, they're real heavy. Got a hood that comes up. Should be real warm.
A hood?
Yeah, you know, like a monk wears. When you aren't wearing it, looks just like a collar. When it gets cold, you raise up the little gimmick, and there you are, warm as anything.
You know, Frank, somehow I just can't see you in there.
Yeah? Well, I noticed you weren't any too warm last night. Next time we do duty like that, I'm going to be ready for it.
Yeah, just like a monk. I'll get it. Homicide Friday. Yes. Oh, yes, mister. When was that? Uh-huh. Yes, sir, right away. Well, that's it.
Huh?
The Wagner woman, she's home.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Friends, you'll remember some months ago we read you our first report, the 6 months report on the effects of smoking. Then more recently we read you the 8 months report. Now here is the latest one. The full 10 months report confirms again
No adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfields.
This from a medical specialist who is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of them have smoked Chesterfield for an average of over 10 years.
After 10 full months, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. Buy much milder Chesterfield, regular or king size. The cigarette that's best for you.
11:30 a.m. Frank and I drove out to the Wagner home. The officers on stakeout told us that Mrs. Wagner had walked into the house at about 11 o'clock that morning. As soon as she'd gotten inside the house, she collapsed. The family doctor had been called, and she was treated for shock. Other than some scratches on her arms and around her face, she was unharmed. The officers told us that they'd been unable to interrogate her so far. We talked to the doctor, and he told us that we could talk to her until the sedative took effect.
Honey, these are policemen. They want to ask you a few questions.
What?
Police officers, honey. There's Mr. Friday and there's Mr. Smith.
Oh, yes.
They want to ask you some questions, dear, about the people who took you.
Oh, all right.
It won't take very long, Miss Wagner.
That's all right. I want to help you get them.
All right, now if you just tell us how it happened.
How it happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Sergeant, you have to do this now. Maybe later when she's rested.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wagner. We haven't got much choice here. We'd like to get to the people who did this. If we wait until later, we might not be able to get them.
Yes, I didn't think of that. Well, if the doctor says it's all right, go ahead.
Miss Wagner,
Yes?
do you know the people who did it? The people who took you?
No.
You never seen them before?
No, never.
All right, now could you just tell us what happened?
I guess so. They came to the door about 2:30.
Who were they, ma'am?
Well, I just saw a man. Later, when we got into the car, there was a woman, too.
All right, go ahead.
They told me that Henry'd been in an accident, that he'd been hurt, that he was at the hospital. Said they wanted to take me to him.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know any different. I went with them. I thought that Henry was hurt. I didn't know any different.
You have to do this, officers. She's home, safe. That's all I care about. That's all that's important. Why don't you let her get some rest? Then you can talk to her. Talk as much as you want to. But please, you can see what this is doing to her.
Yes, sir. Now, look, this isn't any easier on us. We've got a job to do here, like we had when she was gone. We know how you feel, but we'd like to get to those people.
It's all right, Henry. I'm all right, dear.
Where'd they take you, ma'am?
First, I think they were going to take me to a house near here.
I didn't notice the street, but it was near here. I'm sure of that. Then when we got near there, I knew that something was wrong, that they weren't going to take me to Henry like they said. I knew it then.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I told them to let me out of the car. Said that they'd better let me go.
Mm-hmm.
The woman, she was in the back seat with me, said for me to keep my mouth closed. I tried to get out the door, and she hit me. Then the two of them got into an argument. The man started to yell at the woman that it wasn't any good, that they'd better forget the whole thing. And the woman said that they'd gone too far for that now, that they had to go through with it.
Uh-huh.
Well, then they put a blindfold on me, tied my hands and blindfolded me, and then they started to drive.
Well, at any time, did either of them use a name, you know, in talking to each other?
No, I don't think so. At least if they did, I don't remember it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Miss Wagner.
Well, then they started to drive. I couldn't see where they were going, but I know that they headed out the Arroyo Seco toward Pasadena. I could tell from the way we went. Then I heard the woman talk about the turnoff to get on the Seco. Right then the man told her to shut up.
Yes, ma'am.
We drove for quite a while and then stopped. They made me get out and took me into a house.
Did you have any idea where you were at the time, ma'am?
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, they took me into the house and put me in a room. Tied me up. I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. They locked the door, and I could hear them arguing in the next room. The man was really telling the woman off. Said that she was a fool, that she'd really botched the whole thing up.
I see.
That night, they brought in a plate of food. Told me it was time to eat. All there was were some prunes. That's what they fed me all the time I was there, prunes. Never did take the blindfold off.
Was there anything at all that would let you know where you were?
Oh, a couple of things. They're probably kind of silly, but maybe you can make something out of them.
What's that, ma'am?
Well, there was a clock that was in the room where they had me, one of those chime clocks, tolled every 15 minutes, like Westminster chimes.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think it was a very big clock. Chimes sounded small.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were the trains.
Trains?
Yes, every once in a while I'd hear trains going past. Sounded like they were near, maybe a couple blocks away, not much more than that.
But do you think that you could give us a description of the man and woman, Miss Wagner?
Yes, I think so. First, I was so upset with thinking that Henry was hurt that I didn't notice, but I think I can describe them for you.
All right, ma'am, that'd be fine.
There's one thing, though.
What's that?
I'd be positive if I saw them.
12 noon. We continued to talk to the Wagner woman. She gave us a description of the man and woman who had kidnapped her and a description of the car they'd used. We called the information into the office, and a local and an APB were gotten out. We ran the description through R&I, but we got no make. 2:45 p.m. As one of the possibilities for identifying the locality described by Mrs. Wagner, Frank and I left the house and drove to the office of one of the milk companies in the city. We talked to the driver that handled the area in which Mrs. Wagner said the kidnappers were going to stop. He couldn't identify the man and the woman from the description. We checked 2 more milk companies, and on the 3rd, we got a tentative identification. The driver of the route told us that we could be asking about a Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Harper, he thought. He gave us their address, and Frank and I drove out there. On the way, we called the names into R&I and had them make a check for us. They said they had a record on a Thomas Harper who answered the description. He'd served time in San Quentin and in Folsom penitentiaries. He'd been sentenced both times for armed robbery and ADW. There was no record on Mrs. Harper and no wants at the present time for her husband. 5:57 p.m. Well, we better try it again.
All right. Probably aren't in.
No, the car parked down the street there. Could be theirs. Checks on that description we got from the Wagner woman.
Yeah, I think somebody's coming.
Yeah, what do you want?
You Thomas Harper?
Yeah, that's right.
Police officers would like to talk to you.
What about?
Just like to talk to you.
All right, come on in.
Who is it, Tom?
Cops.
What do they want?
Say they want to talk. I don't know what about.
Just a routine investigation.
Who are you trying to kid?
What do you mean by that, Harper?
Somebody's done something, you need a pigeon. I got a record, so I'm right for you guys to lean on.
What's the matter? You got something to worry about?
Not a thing in the world, but I know you guys, you're going to try.
What do you want, anyway?
You people tell us your activities for the past 4 days?
What for?
Just tell us, will you?
Yeah, tell us. You got an angle or you wouldn't be here. You're trying to pin something on us, and you know it.
You want to tell us what you've been doing?
We haven't left the house at all.
Can you prove that?
Prove it to who? You? You got no right to come in here and ask a lot of questions.
She's right. You haven't got any right to do that. Now, either you pull us in or you get out of here.
All right, Harper. We're getting ready to leave anyway. We'll see you later.
Yeah, let's go, Frank.
Right.
We better call the office and have the house staked. As soon as Ms. Wagner feels better, we'll have her see if she can make an identification here, huh?
I don't think that'll be too hard, Joe. Found this bill from the gas company on a table in there.
Yeah?
House in Pasadena.
Harper's mugshot had been pulled and sent to the Wagner home for identification. Mrs. Wagner was still under sedatives. 7:15 p.m. Frank and I drove out to Pasadena. We got in touch with the police department out there, and 2 officers were assigned to accompany us to the address on the gas bill. The house was unoccupied, and there were advertising papers strewn all about on the lawn. With the officers, we entered the house and went through it. In some of the rooms, there were pieces of furniture, and in the living room of the house, we found a mantel clock that chimed on the quarter hour. On an end table, we found a ball of white string that looked like the same type that had been used to mark the meeting place up on Deer Canyon Drive. In one of the back bedrooms, we found prune seeds scattered around on the floor. A stakeout was arranged on the house. We contacted the men watching the Harper residence and found that the suspects were still there. 9:56 p.m., Frank and I arrived back at the Harper home in Hollywood. The lights were out and the house was dark. Frank went around to the back of the house.
Yeah? What do you want this time of the night? Did you guys ever give up?
All right, Harper, let's get dressed. We want to talk to you downtown.
You tying a pinch to me?
You called it.
For what?
Kidnapping.
You're out of your mind.
Come on, get dressed.
Who is it, honey?
Cops say we kidnapped somebody.
What?
Fuzz has an idea we kidnapped somebody.
You're kidding.
Afraid not, Miss Harper. You better get dressed, too. Anybody else in the house?
Yeah, we take in boarders.
Don't get smart. Where's that door go?
Bedroom.
Just the one bedroom here?
That's right. We're roughing it.
Just the kitchen over here?
Yeah.
All right, come on. How about the bath?
In there.
All right, we'll all go. Come on. All right. Let's go back to the kitchen. This door go out the backyard?
You're a cop. You figure it out.
Okay, Frank.
Everything all right in there, Joe?
Yeah, fine.
You ain't kidding about this kidnap thing, are you?
No, let's go.
What makes you figure it might be us?
You got a house in Pasadena?
Why do you ask that?
Have you got one?
No.
You're lying. Property records in Pasadena say you have. We checked the house. Matches the one we're looking for.
That right?
That's right. We got the woman you kidnapped. She's identified your picture, you and your wife.
She couldn't identify me. I haven't got a record.
You ain't taking me no place.
Frank, get out of my way. Hold it. Hold it right there.
All right, come on your feet. Now shake.
He's clean. Hands behind you.
I told you what had happened. I told you we should let her go right away. I told you.
Oh, shut up.
You and your bright ideas. 10 grand easy. You and your bright ideas. Well, look what it got us.
Look, Buster, you didn't yell when you thought of getting your hot little hands on that dough. You were all for it then. Well, we lost. What do you want me to do about it? Break down and bawl?
Should have known from the beginning. I had nothing but trouble with you from the start. Always wanting something easy. Always wanting big money. Never satisfied.
That's the trouble with kids. Bad losers. Great winners, but bad losers. Well, you're a big boy now. You lost. That's all there is to it. Stop whining.
Easy for you to say. If you get through with me, I'll be in for life. You got no record.
She has now. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 10th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, only the modern cigarette Chesterfield gives you this scientific evidence on the effects of smoking. No adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfields. And only the modern cigarette Chesterfield gives you premium quality in both regular and king size. Now, I know Chesterfield is best for me and best for you. Buy them, regular or king size. Either way, they're much milder to give you all the pleasure the modern cigarette can give.
Thomas Fenton Harper was tried and found guilty of kidnapping. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in the state penitentiary, Folsom, California, without possibility of parole. His wife, Alice Mabel Harper, received a like sentence and is now in the California Institution for Women, Corona, California.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you give a few dimes to help a child out of the smallest prison in the world, an iron lung? Well, that's what you're doing when you join the 1953 March of Dimes. Remember, crippled children are depending on your help. So give your dimes and your dollars to the 1953 March of Dimes.
have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Jonathan Hull. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Either way you like 'em, regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
72 years ago, January 16, 1953, Dragnet here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On tomorrow's program, Myrna Loy and Don Amici in an adaptation of Magnificent Obsession, going back 84 years to 1941, adapting the 1935 movie. Also have an episode of The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet from 1951, The Cavalcade of America from 1942, An American is Born, Frank Sinatra starring as Rocky Fortune, and an episode of Superman as we continue the series of stories about Lita, the Leopard Woman. But coming up now on Classic Radio Theater, an episode of the Hallmark Playhouse starring Raymond Massey.
The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly. But then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com.
Everyone who works for a living knows that illness or injury may keep them from earning a living. Today, more than 9 out of 10 American workers are covered by Social Security, and each one should know that if he becomes severely disabled, he and his family may be eligible for monthly Social Security disability payments. More than 1 million people are now receiving benefits each month under this program. For more information about Social Security disability benefits, write to Social Security, Department 15, Hollywood 28, California, and ask for a free copy of Booklet 29 called If You Become Disabled.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with an episode of the Hallmark Playhouse, going back 74 years, January 18th, 1951, Raymond Massey starring in Old Soldiers Never Die.
Remember, a Hallmark card when you care enough to send the very best. Tonight from Hollywood, the makers of Hallmark greeting cards bring you Raymond Massey in James Ronald's Old Soldiers Never Die on the Hallmark Playhouse. Each week, Hallmark will bring you Hollywood's greatest stars in outstanding stories chosen by one of the world's best-known authors, the distinguished novelist, Mr. James Hilton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is James Hilton. Tonight on our Hallmark Playhouse, we present a story by James Ronald called Old Soldiers Never Die. These days, when so many of us ourselves are old soldiers or destined to be new ones, there's something timely in the theme. And Mr. Ronald has given it a warm-hearted treatment set against the background of England during the last war. You know, the strange thing about war is that amidst all its inhumanity to man, it does make some men more human. And this, I think, happened to the chief character in our story, as you'll presently see. To play his part tonight, we have chosen one of the most notable of living stage actors, Mr. Raymond Massey. And now a word about Hallmark cards from Frank Goss before we begin the first act of James Ronald's Old Soldiers Never Die.
For every occasion important to your friends and loved ones, there are Hallmark cards to carry your thoughts across the miles, across the years, often merely across the way. That's important in these fast-moving days when families and friends are separated on short notice, when a word of thoughtfulness can mean so much. On special days and every day, a Hallmark card says what you want to say, the way you want to say it. And that identifying Hallmark on the back, as always, says you cared enough to send the very best. Now, Hallmark Playhouse, presenting James Ronald's Old Soldiers Never Die, starring Raymond Massey.
Old soldiers never die, they only fade away. So goes a favorite British Army song, though even its reassuring words held little comfort for General Charles Victor Church, retired. Listen.
Why, hang it all, 68 isn't old. Not when you've been a soldier all your life. Oh, I'm not fool enough to expect a frontline command. Had it in my time. All I want now is a job of work. There's a huge raw army to be whipped into shape. Millions of men who've never carried a rifle in their lives. And every officer who knows how to handle men will be needed.
Yes, that's the general, and that's his belief, his duty, and his hope. That's why, when the Second World War was but 10 days old, he had come all the way up to London to present himself at the War Office.
General Church? Yes? I'm Major Barnwell. Lord Outram regrets he's been unable to find time for you before this, sir. He's sorry, but he's still frightfully busy, and he won't be able to see you at all today.
Spending the night at my club. Be good enough, Major, to make an appointment for me with Lord Outram for any hour tomorrow that suits him.
I'm afraid that won't be possible, sir. See, Lord Outram's time tomorrow is pretty well mortgaged.
Then make it the day after tomorrow, or the day after that. I've come up from Waythorn, 150 miles to see him, and I mean to stay in town until I do.
Well, if it's about your application to be restored to the active list, General, I'm instructed to say that Lord Outram feels that you are no longer young, sir. And this is a young man's war.
Confound it, I'm a soldier. I've never been anything else. I was born and raised to serve my country. It's in my blood and my bones. I don't propose to be put on the shelf at a time like this.
Well, I suggest that you return to your home, sir. Perhaps you can still be useful there. Civilian defense, now, that's going to be tremendously important in this war.
I dare say, but that's for civilians. I'm not a civilian.
I'm afraid, sir, a civilian is precisely what you are.
I understand, Mrs. Farnsworth, that you're in charge of civilian defense work here in Waythorn.
Quite so, General. And I suppose you've come to offer your help.
Something like that, yes.
I think it's simply marvelous the way you elderly people are rallying around to do your bit. You dear, gallant old souls, so bent on doing your duty. It ought to be an inspiration to the rest of us. Now, let me see. Well, just at the present, we have all the workers we can use. But sooner or later, we'll find something for you to do. Some little task, not too exacting, not too regular in its demands, that can be managed comfortably by a man of your years, General. Now, I'll get in touch with you at Farthingale, shall I? And in a few weeks, we're organizing a waste paper collection. Well, of course.
Beg pardon, sir. The phone. It's Lady Alice Frome. She wants you for dinner and bridge this evening.
Tell her I have a previous engagement, Bates. Tell her I'm sorry.
But Lady Alice is such a jolly old lady. It always does you so much good to dine with her.
Bates, you needn't talk as if you were my doctor. And Lady Alice is barely 60. You can't call that old.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way,
Well,
sir.
then don't use the word so loosely. It's a word everybody uses a lot too much. I'm fed up with the sound of it.
I see, sir.
And Bates.
Yes, sir?
Take these out of here.
Sir?
That stack of new magazines. You may tell the news agent not to deliver any of them in future.
Not even the Times, sir?
I'm sick of the Times. Don't let me see it again.
Very good, sir.
And put padlocks on all the gates, all of them. If anyone calls, I'm not at home.
But, sir...
If the war can ignore me, I can ignore the war.
Yes, sir. sir, but there's a young lady here.
Bates, I was under the impression that you had been instructed not to admit anyone to the grounds or to the house.
Well, it's like this, sir.
Please excuse this intrusion, General Church. I'm Miss Cartwright from Waythorne Town Hall, and I'm here to inspect your house to decide how many evacuated children you can take.
What? Why, confound it, young woman, I can't take any. I'm not running a home for unwashed brats.
Well, if you don't wish to be bothered with the children, that's quite all right. We'll simply confiscate your house, and you, my dear sir, will have to find other quarters.
I think we might manage a few children, sir. They could be confined as much as possible to the upper floors.
Bates, my house is neither a prison nor an orphanage.
This is much too large a house for one elderly gentleman to occupy alone in times like these.
Good afternoon, Miss Cartwright. Evacuated children. Sounds as if they're afflicted with the plague.
He isn't exactly going to be a father to them, is he?
His bark is sometimes awful, but he hardly ever bites. With your permission, miss, I'll show our accommodations to you.
Yes.
Now, in the first place, the only part of the house that's habitable is this one wing. The other's not been in use for a century or more.
Yes, this should do very nicely for a dozen or so children. I suppose you're like all the other householders I visit. Won't have anything but sweet, refined children from nice homes with gentle manners and soft voices.
Oh, dear me, no. You can send us the dirtiest, noisiest brats you've got.
You don't mean that.
Yes, miss, I do. A problem child or two, if you like.
What about the General?
It's just what he needs.
Well, if it doesn't worry you, it needn't cost me any sleep. If brats are what you want, brats are what you'll get.
I'm afraid the children have arrived, sir.
Well?
I thought it might be best for all concerned if you greeted them in person.
I?
Yes, sir.
Open the door, Bates. I'll follow. Though I don't approve.
That's what I want to do. Well, children?
I ain't gonna stay here, see? I'm giving it to you straight. So don't say I never warned you. And if you try to keep me here, I'll make you bloomin' well sorry for it.
Don't whine, you two, do you hear? And let go of me skirts. I'll give you a good one over the ear.
Thanks.
Oh, you smell the stinking perfume, you do.
Give Limpy an arm there, Colin. You'll never mark the steps in being on a crutch. Come on now, help me out.
Bates, Minnie, do something, can't you? Plant them down. Get them in here. Anything.
Children! Children, really?
What's that, Bates? That noise?
On the roof, sir. It's...
The roof? Hand me my torch,
But,
Bates.
sir, it's only...
I'm going up there, Bates. My electric torch.
Yes, sir. Here you are, sir.
I'll teach these young rascals to go scampering about my roof at night.
Douse that blasted light, you balmy old blighter.
What?
What the blazes you trying to do? Signal the blasted enemy?
What, if I may ask, are you doing up here at this time of night, Peter?
There's a war on, old boy, or hadn't you heard?
I'm well aware of that.
And that guy shot in only too blasted well what I'm doing on your blasted roof. I'm keeping a watch for incendiary bombs.
But confound it, boy, you're only a child.
There aren't nobody too young or too old to be of use in this war. We're in a blasted mess, and not a one of us has a right to stand about with his hands in his pockets. My mom's making munitions at Woolwich, and my dad volunteered the first day of the war. He's a blasted prisoner in a blasted Nazi concentration camp now. They got him at Dunkirk.
Sorry to hear that, Peter. But now I think you'd better go back to bed. Can't have you up here in the cold and dark.
I've a good hour to go before one of the other kids starts over. Who's to watch for bombs if I quit?
I shall.
Oh? And what do you know about incendiaries?
Tell the truth, not very much. Come to think of it, nothing whatever.
Then a fat lot of good you'd be if one fell on the house. If you ask me, you're the one that ought to go back to bed. I'm staying here.
Bates, there's a small boy on the roof.
Yes, sir. He and 3 others stand watching shifts all through the night.
He's filthy, Bates. And his nose is running. Do you suppose he has a cold?
A running nose is a secondary characteristic, sir, in children of that class.
But his clothes worn almost to the skin, threadbare. And his boots have holes in them.
That's why he has a running nose, no doubt.
Something will have to be done about that, Bates.
Yes, sir. sorry, sir. I've looked and looked, but there isn't a bolt of cloth to be had anywhere.
Well, then there's but one thing to be done, Bates. Here's your material for the boys' clothes.
Oh, but you can't mean it, sir. All those beautiful suits of yours, they can't be replaced in these times. It would be a crime to take them apart.
Bigger crime to let them do without when they're just kids.
What will you wear, sir?
Suit I have on. Frocks for small girls, if you please. 6 in all. Something serviceable, of course, but they must be pretty. Very important, that. You've got the list of sizes here and the ration card.
You ain't going to put me in the water, are you?
Sorry, Billy. Simply must be done. In you go.
Oh!
Easy does it now. That's it. Expect you'll take it more calmly the next time.
What? You're going to bathe us all again?
No, not for another week. Saturday night is bath night from now on.
Oh, it's every Saturday night.
Every Saturday night.
Oh, blimey.
Yes, it's amazing the way they've responded, sir.
Isn't it, Bates? They're clean and quiet most of the time now. But are they happy here, Bates? And what will become of them when war is over and they return to London? To what, Bates?
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of Old Soldiers Never Die, starring Raymond Massey. Yesterday, I had an unusual experience. A very charming mother said something about cards in a way that I'd never thought of before. And after all these years, I thought I was an expert on greeting cards. She told me that her oldest son was at military camp. It was his first experience away from home. Like all mothers, she missed him terribly and at first spent hours writing letters with all her feelings laid bare. But she didn't send those letters. She and her husband decided that they might reach the boy just at a time he himself was particularly homesick or blue, and the effect on his morale might be entirely different from that desired. Instead, she confined her letters to home news, and whenever she was shopping, she sent him a card. She had found that the card expressed their love and affection in a way that didn't lead into the kind of thoughts that might result in homesickness. After having it pointed out this way, I can see what this mother meant. With greeting cards, you can say personal things and still keep a light touch. You know, Hallmark cards are designed with one thought in mind, to say what you want to say, the way you want to say it. That's why through the years, people have found Hallmark cards more and more important in their daily life, and have come to look for that distinguished hallmark on the back of a card, which says that you not only care, but that also you cared enough to send the very best. Now back to James Hilton in the second act of Old Soldiers Never Die, starring Raymond Massey.
More and more, the old soldier who disliked playing the role of civilian lost himself in the job of caring for the ragamuffins from the slums of London. Progress, though sometimes slow, was always positive. Much, however, remained to be done, and General Church set himself to the task with a will and a heart. There was Limpy, for example. Limpy, the 9-year-old who had a right lame foot.
Come in. Well, bless my soul, if it isn't Limpy.
Yes, sir. Thought you might want to have a look at me hair.
Mrs. Bates been using the scissors, has she?
On all us young uns.
Mrs. Bates deserves a lot of credit. Didn't know she was such an excellent barber.
She combed me head for beasties, too. Good and hard she combed it.
Well, glad you came in, Limpy. Been wanting to have a chat with you.
Me?
Confounded nuisance it must be, being dependent on a crutch. Thought for a time I'd be in that boat myself.
You, sir?
They picked 20 pieces of shrapnel out of this right leg in 1918. Broken in 2 places as well. Surgeon by the name of Ames put me on my 2 feet again. Took 7 operations. Shouldn't like to have Ames have a look at your leg, I don't suppose.
No, it'd hurt.
Suppose it would. Might hurt a good deal. Still, no one would willingly be a cripple for life. Eh, Limpy? Of course, Ames might not be able to do anything for your leg. Only an X-ray would tell that.
I'm not brave like you.
Brave? Oh, wasn't brave at the time, I can tell you. I was in a positive blue funk.
You, sir? Afraid, sir?
Terrified, Limpy. Terrified.
But you got all them medals.
Oh, don't get medals for not being afraid, Limpy. Get them for seeing through to the end the job you're scared of in the beginning.
You're sure it would be the very same doctor, sir?
The very same doctor.
Would I have to go to hospital?
Cottage Hospital in Little Thorpe. Awfully friendly place. Phone them up first thing in the morning, shall we? And arrange for the X-rays. If they tell the right story, we'll lose no time in sending for Ames.
Oh, I'm glad you're back, sir. How's Limpy?
Ames thinks he can fix him up good as new. May take a couple of operations.
Oh, the Lord be praised. I only wish the news here at Farthing Knoll were as cheering.
What's up, Bates?
I'm afraid young Billy's got a case of the measles.
Measles?
Yes, sir. And the other ones are bound to get it, the little ones anyway.
Oh, nothing so tragic about that, Bates. All kids get the measles sooner or later, I suppose.
Yes, sir. And then there's Minnie again. Mrs. Bates is worried about her.
Up to her old tricks, eh? That it?
Worse, sir. She's been primping and perfuming herself all evening, and at her age, too. And she's out there in the lane with the soldier.
Huh. Well, she's my responsibility, I suppose. Don't want to be a prying snoop, Bates, but certainly is up to me to do something about it.
Give us a kiss, girl.
In a hurry, ain't you?
Come here.
Let me go, Bert. Hey, there's somebody coming.
Oh, there would be.
Good evening.
Blimey, it's the old boy himself.
Is that you, Minnie? For a moment I wasn't sure. Won't you present me to your friend? My name is Church. I'm by way of being Minnie's guardian for the present.
Oh, pleased to meet you. Bert Hawkins, my name is.
Chilly evening, Hawkins. Wouldn't you like to invite your friend in, Minnie? There's a large fire in the study.
What?
Wouldn't be surprised. Bates had a bite to eat and something cold to drink for Mr. Hawkins somewhere, too.
You mean it, don't you?
Certainly. Lead the way, shall I? Not a pleasant place, this, to have to meet a young girl, do you think, Hawkins?
No, sir, but,
well, come now, Minnie. You know this old house is your home now, just as much as it is mine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, Limpy, about ready to leave the hospital? Come home to Farthing Knoll?
Yes, sir.
Ames is sure you can walk. He told me so himself.
But Dr. Ames ain't me, sir. He's the one what's sure, not me.
Bought something for you, Limpy. Something you've wanted for a long time, although you never said so.
What is it?
Shan't tell you. I'll put it over here on this cupboard. You have 2 legs. Go and take it for yourself.
I can't do it, sir. I'm afraid.
I know you're afraid. Put both feet on the floor and walk. Good boy. Good boy.
Oh, blimey. I made it.
Oh, good boy. Tomorrow you'll show 'em all at Farthing Knoll, eh?
It's a medal you brought me. One of your very own, ain't it?
Right.
Mine? For keeps, sir?
For keeps, Limpy. You've got a lot more right to it than I have, old boy. Lovely countryside, eh, Peter, when you see it like this at night from top of the roof?
Yes, sir. Hardly know there was a war on.
You know, Peter, lately you've acquired a lot more aspirates than you had when you came.
Aspirates?
H's, Peter. There was a time when you didn't have an H to your name. Learn things quickly, don't you?
I do my best, sir.
Good boy, Peter. Think I'll send you to the grammar school at Waythorne. Fine old school. You'll learn a lot there. And later on, well, we'll see. If I'm not mistaken, you're the very lad to win a university scholarship.
I'll try hard, sir. I'll work like blazes.
I know you will, Peter. What's that?
Look, sir. Over Whitethorn. A raid, no doubt of it, sir.
Oh, they won't come this way.
Not likely. It's the Plymouth docks they're after.
That's a good 8 miles from here. Ah, that's all, Ack.
Giving them what for, aren't they?
Ah, yes.
Hadn't you better take the children to the cellar, sir?
In their condition, they get pneumonia. Oh, they won't come this way anyway. Why should they?
There's one of the Nazi blighters. Crippled, too.
Look out, he's chucking away his incendiaries.
None on the roof, thank goodness.
The old thing, Peter, look.
It'll be up in flames in no time. All those old rafters.
The children, come on, Peter, the children. Bates, Millie, got to get the children out quickly. Wrap them in blankets. Have Harry get the car out.
This side of the house will go up any minute. There's a gush of flame on every landing from the doors to the old wing.
Take charge here, Bates. Peter and Minnie will help. I'll see what I can do about those doors.
My sister! I've got to find my sister!
She's safe. In there quickly, Peter. Limpy and Billy. That's the last of them. All safe and sound.
Where's the general?
Didn't he come out? Come on, Peter. Harry. Glad you're feeling a little better, sir. We thought you were a goner for sure.
The children, Bates.
Every last one of them right as rain. You saved the house too, sir, by closing off the doors to the old wing. The roof caved in and smothered the fire there.
No more than any soldier would have done under fire, Bates. Children, important, Bates. More than old soldiers. Hope of the future and all that. We made a bunch of things in 18, didn't we? Won the war, yes. What happened to the world, Bates?
Not too hopeful, I'm afraid, sir.
Hopeful? There's always hope, Bates, as long as there are children. These kids of ours have taught me something, I can tell you. They have courage, energy, and dreams, Bates. And children, no matter what their race or creed, they're all alike. They'll make a new world for us oldsters. They must, Bates.
I see what you mean, sir. And I'm very happy and proud. So are the people, the villagers, that is. They've nominated you for the George Medal, sir.
George Medal? Don't believe I've ever heard of that one. I can't say I'm not pleased, though, Bates. Still a general at heart?
I'm afraid you don't understand, sir. I don't rightly know how to tell you, but, well, the fact is, sir, the George Medal is a new decoration. Wear it on the right breast, sir. For civilians, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
In this war, Bates, it takes a jolly good soldier to be a good civilian.
Raymond Massey and James Hilton will return in a moment. Of all the compliments you ever receive, there's probably none you enjoy more than those to which you can reply, "I'm so glad you like it, because, you see, I made it myself." Here's a way to let your children experience this pleasure and at the same time teach them thoughtfulness, and in a way all children will enjoy. It's with the Hallmark Make Your Own Valentine Kit. In this kit are gay red cards, lacy white panels, and special cutout designs. There are perky kittens, baby chicks, puppies, ducklings, appealing little animals that youngsters love. It's so easy because it's all done without scissors, paint, or glue. For only $1, this Hallmark kit contains the makings of 16 Valentines. There are other Hallmark make-your-own kits for as little as 50 cents. Ask for them at the store where you buy all of your Hallmark cards. Look for Hallmark on the cover of the box, the same symbol of quality you always look for when you care enough to send the very best. Here again is James Hilton.
The old general was a fine character, and you brought him to real life for us, Raymond Massey, with your vivid performance. Thank you.
He was a great old fellow, wasn't he, Jimmy? I like to play characters like that. They're honest and sincere. Qualities that you Hallmark folks talk about and understand so well. And speaking of Hallmark, I was most interested in what Frank Gus just said about the make-your-own Valentine kits. Sounds like a very worthwhile idea. But what have you planned for next week, Jimmy?
Next week, we shall dramatize Kurt Carroll's The Golden Herd, a romantic story of the early Southwest at one of the most adventurous periods in our country's history. And for our star, we have invited Bruce Cabot to play the leading role. Our Hallmark Playhouse is every Thursday. Our director-producer is Bill Gay. The music of Sir Edward Elgar Tonight was adapted by Lynn Murray, and our script was written by Axel Grunberg. Until next Thursday, then, this is James Hilton saying good night.
Look for Hallmark cards that are sold only in stores that have been carefully selected to give you expert and friendly service. Remember, Hallmark cards when you care enough to send the very best. Raymond Massey appeared by arrangement with 20th Century Fox, producers of the Technicolor picture Halls of Montezuma, starring Richard Widmark. The part of Limpy tonight was played by Barbara Jean Wong. Bates was Eric Snowden, and Peter was played by Ralph Reed. This is Frank Goss saying goodnight to you all until next week at this same time, when James Hilton returns to present Bruce Cabot in Kurt Carroll's The Golden Herd. And in the weeks to follow, Booth Tarkington's Monsieur Beaucaire, and every Thursday night, outstanding stories by the world's best-known authors, with famous Hollywood stars as our guests, on the Hallmark Playhouse. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is KMBC, Kansas City, Missouri.
And the reason you hear that KMBC ID there is that these shows were recorded not for KMBC, but recorded for Hallmark at KMBC in Kansas City, so that they had a record of the shows. They did that. That's how we have a lot of these shows, is through sponsors. That's why we have so many Pipper, McGee, and Molly's, because the Johnson Wax Company kept a lot of them. That's why we have so many Casey Crime photographers. Anchor Hawking recorded a lot of those shows, and they kept copies of those as well. Raymond Massey, nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor in the 1940 movie Abe Lincoln in Illinois. He reprised the role on television as Lincoln, and other roles, as you probably best known. Remember him as Dr. Gillespie in the television version of Dr. Kildare for 5 years, and did a number of other movies. He was in several Angry Men, and he was also in a 1944 movie of Arsenic and Old Lace. Raymond Massey passing away in 1983. He had passed away of pneumonia a month before he would turn 87 years of age. He died on the same day as David Niven. He had starred with Niven in The Prisoner of Zenda and A Matter of Life and Death. Alrighty, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt... Oh, first of all, can I ask you to do me a big favor? And that is, like the show on your podcast app that you listen to us on. Share our show with people. You can share it through Facebook and Twitter. We have a presence there. But it helps share it with your friends. They might enjoy hearing the shows as well. And if you'd like to support the show, that's free. That costs you nothing. You can also go to classicradio.stream. You can read our story about Jack Benny being on Suspense. But there are a number of things there you can purchase to help us. And you can also use the Buy Me a Coffee function to send me a few bucks. That's at classicradio.stream. Up next, John Dehner in a 1959 production of Have Gun, Will Travel.
The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly. But then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com.
You know, this is still the season for carefree holidays and vacations. But don't be carefree on the highway. With roads jammed with traffic, this is the time to be extra careful when driving. When you plan a trip, be sure to allow plenty of time so that you won't be forced to drive too fast or too long. When you get tired at the wheel, you lose your skill and your judgment. So don't drive too many hours at a stretch. Plan your trip so that you can stop frequently and get plenty of rest. And when you start that trip, resolve that you're going to obey traffic laws and regulations. Don't gamble with safety. Remember, the life you save may be your own.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with an episode of Have Gun Will Travel starring John Dehner, the show originating on CBS television, Richard Boone starring in that, and it moved to CBS with a few episodes, including a series finale, which the TV show never had. Have Gun Will Travel, John Dehner selected as the star. This goes back 66 years, January 18th, 1955. 66 years ago, 3 Bells to Perdido.
My gun was handcrafted to my specifications. I rarely draw it, unless I mean to use it.
Have Gun, Will Travel. Starring Mr. John Dehner as Paladin. San Francisco, 1875. The Carlton Hotel, headquarters of the man called Paladin.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Paladin. Good evening, George. My key, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Paladin.
Good evening, Mr. Paladin.
Good evening, my dear. How nice to see you.
Is it?
Of course.
Haven't you been avoiding me lately?
No, not at all. I've been out of town.
Mr. Paladin! Mr. Paladin!
Over here, hey, boy. You'll pardon me, my dear, but wait for me in the lounge.
Well, if you don't take too long.
I won't. Hello, hey, boy.
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Paladin. I look for you. I get you papers from all places in West, like always.
Fine. Put them in my room. I'll be up later. Right now, there's a young
I
lady.
think something you want to see in this journal from New Mexico. I mark. Here. You read.
Huh.
Yeah, it looked like they need Mr. Paladin and his gun, eh?
Yes, maybe so, hey, boy. Get me pen and paper.
Oh, yes, sir. Right away. Good, good, good. You send cards, say, Have Gun, Will Travel.
Dandruff bothers most men, most women, too, so listen. Today you can get rid of embarrassing dandruff in just 3 minutes. Yes, with Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. Unsightly dandruff's gone in 3 minutes. It's the quickest, easiest of all leading shampoos. That's not all. Using Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep embarrassing dandruff away. Simply apply in the unique Fitch manner. Before you wet hair, rub in 1 minute. This way, Fitch shampoo penetrates right down to the scalp. Next, add water. Lather 1 minute to wash every trace of dandruff out of your hair. Then rinse 1 minute. All that loosened dandruff goes down the drain. In 3 minutes, with Fitch, 1 rubbing, 1 lathering, 1 rinsing, dandruff's gone. And never forget, Gentle Fitch can also leave your hair up to 35% brighter. To get rid of dandruff problems forever, brighten hair too, use Fitch regularly. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today, only 59 cents.
I'll get it, Mr. Reed.
Oh, never mind. I can still walk to my own door. Well?
My name is Paladin. I got your wire.
Wire? What wire?
Well, your name is Jesse Reed.
And what about her?
You and 20 of your men tried to take the town of Perdido below the border in Mexico. And only 5 of you came back, not in very good shape. I see that you're still hobbling on one leg.
Yeah, well, come on in.
Thank you.
Now, how do you know so much?
I saw it in the San Francisco papers, and I sent you a card, like this one.
Huh? Have gun will travel. Wire Paladin, San Francisco. But I sent no wire.
I have it right here.
Gotch?
Yes, sir, Mr. Reed.
Did you send this man a wire?
I figured maybe Mr. Paladin could help us, Mr. Reed. At least till he was able to sit a horse again.
Oh. You're a fast gun, huh?
Fast enough.
What do you figure you can do for me?
Dave Enderby's wanted for murder, and he's holed up in an outlaw town in Mexico. And more important, he took your daughter with him, and when he went after her, he ambushed your men and shot you. I guess you'd like to see him again.
But if I couldn't bring him back with 20 men, how do you think you'll do it all alone?
There are all kinds of tactics, Mr. Reed.
Tactics? You one of them ex-army officers?
Among other things.
I know your breed. Got to have action and money.
Which brings us to my fee.
I didn't ask you here. I ain't paying nothing.
For Dave Enderby delivered to you, breathing?
How much?
$1,000.
That gun comes high.
It's a good gun. Crafted to my own specifications.
Let me see it. Now, what do you think of that? I ask a man for his gun and he gives it to me. Why, you overdressed tin soldier, you'd have about as much of a chance with Dave Enderby as a ribbon clerk.
I'll have my gun back, Mr. Reed, or I'll put a hole between your eyes. This Derringer may not look as impressive, but it's just as effective at short range. Thank you. Now, what about Dave Enderby?
A Derringer in your waistcoat. You're a cool one. All right, then. You bring me Enderby alive, and you'll get your 1,000. But nothing on account, only my word.
I don't ask anything more.
Enderby shot his first man when he was 15, in the back. That's where he tried to shoot me, and that's where he'll shoot you if he gets the chance. It's the only way he knows to fight.
I'll remember. What do I do about your daughter?
She went with him of her own free will. Let her stay.
Mr. Reed.
I said let her stay. All I want is Enderby.
I'll get him.
You're a fool, Paladin. You might get in, but you won't get out. The whole Mexican government can't get an outlaw out of Perdido. I couldn't, and you won't.
We'll see. Good day, Mr. Reed.
Welcome to Perdido, senor.
Senor, quite a welcoming committee. Do they always ring bells?
To tell us a stranger is in the pass, it is guarded.
I saw them. They didn't look very friendly.
Not every stranger is a friend, senor.
My name is Paladin.
And mine is O'Brien. I am the alcalde here.
A red-headed Mexican with an Irish name?
In Perdido, what matters is not a man's nationality, but his disposition. If he is, shall we say, simpatico, then he is welcome.
For as long as he can pay.
It is a poor business, senor, that does not make a profit. You have friends here, Senor Paladin?
I'm looking for Senor Enderby. Can you tell me where to find him?
He is usually in the cantina.
Thank you.
Oh, Senor Paladin.
Yes?
I must tell you about our bell. If it rings when one leaves Perdido, that one is always met in the pass. Stay with us, senor, and be comfortable. And when you leave, I hope the bell does not ring for you.
Good day, Senor O'Brien. Hey, what you...
Senor, don't shoot. The knife was not meant for you.
Oh.
That's a fast draw, mister, but you can holster your gun. We only thrown at that circle on the wall beside you. Like this. Well, amigo, I win again.
Your pleasure, senor.
Huh? Oh, tequila.
Si, senor.
You've been thrown at a man, amigo. You'd be dead now.
I do not miss when it is a man.
Double a bet, then?
We'll see, but this time I use your knife.
Hand it over, amigo.
I permit you to use mine.
Hey, senores. There is one law in Perdido. We do not fight each other.
Well, now, I thank you for reminding me. I ain't going to be the one to spoil the fun. Go ahead, amigo. Throw.
Dead cent. It was a good
Look
scout.
out. Alto, senor.
You tried to cut me in the back.
Just letting you know, I don't mind giving something away, but nobody takes nothing from me. Nothing. Here's your knife, amigo.
Pig.
You'll know better next time.
Enderby.
How'd you know my name?
I had a good description of you, of how you fight. I've come looking for you.
For me?
Mm-hmm. Seems I have to take you back across the border.
That's so? Julio.
That is still against your neck, senor. So don't try anything or you will not leave, eh?
Now, I'll take that gun of yours, mister. You won't be needing it anyway.
No, because I can't shoot you. I don't get paid unless I bring you back breathing.
Who to?
Jesse Reed.
That old vinegaroon's still alive and kicking?
Very much so. And he wants you alive.
What's your name, mister?
Paladin.
You want me to take care of him, Senor Enderby?
Nah, let him go, Julio. He ain't got a chance.
Bueno, senor.
Thank you. You know, I'd like to meet the young lady who caused all this.
Nancy? Sure, why not? Nancy get a real boot out of you. Come on, Mr. Paladin.
Like a season ticket to the ballpark, CBS News admits you to every major event going on. Please note, too, that where CBS News is concerned, the world is the stadium, and the season of excitement knows no end. Regular features like our World News Roundup, broadcast 7 mornings a week on CBS Radio, and its evening counterpart, The World Tonight, heard nightly over most of these same stations, make you spectator to the most spectacular events of our time. They take you right to where the news is happening, let you learn the details from experts who've watched the news develop. Every morning on CBS Radio, join CBS News correspondents on the World News Roundup for reports from the major news centers of the world. Every evening, let The World Tonight take you to the scene of the news for on-the-spot reports and lively interviews with people in the news. No matter what is happening, no matter where it's happening, you'll be well informed if you follow the story on CBS Radio every time.
Excellent coffee, Mrs. Enderby. Served on excellent china in a delightful patio. You must be very happy here.
Tell him, honey.
I am.
I see.
My father wasn't honest with you, Mr. Paladin. All he wanted was to set you against Dave. Did he tell you the way everybody back home talked about Dave?
And all those scrapes he got into? He was forced?
You're raking me with them spurs again.
If you think you're going to turn me against Dave...
He came for me, honey. Your daddy don't even want to see you again.
That's true. He doesn't care if he ever sees me again.
How do you know?
She knows her, old man. Got a hide thick as alligator.
Dave!
You managed to put some lead into that tough hide.
He what?
Now, don't you believe that, honey. I told the boys to let your daddy be. I saw him right away without a scratch.
And your father saw Dave bushwhack him.
Now, honey, don't that prove he'll say anything to split us?
You've got quite a problem, Nancy. Who's the liar? Your husband or your father?
Dave's wild, but he's no murderer.
If I'd done half the things folks say, I'd been dancing at the end of a rope long ago.
There's still time.
Dave, he's trying to make you fight. Don't let him.
He has to fight, or come along with me. He's got my gun, but still he won't fight. He's yellow.
It's not true.
If you had a belly for fighting, you'd have finished off that fellow in the cantina. You'd have finished me. But you couldn't, because we were face to face with you.
Shut up.
You're a rotten little coward who can only bushwhack men, stab or shoot them in the back.
Why, you filthy...
Dave!
He's only knocked out. He'll wake up soon enough.
I wish he'd killed you.
But he didn't. Now...
What are you doing?
Just getting my gun back. And
No, stop.
I'll have to finish him.
No, please.
I haven't a chance of getting out of Perdido alive otherwise.
Don't kill him, don't. I'll do anything you say, please.
Help me get out of Perdido. Come with me through the pass.
All right.
No trouble, no tricks. I have your word.
Yes, you have my word.
All right, let's go.
I'll turn back here. You're almost out of the pass.
A little farther. I can still see the guards.
You're perfectly safe now. I got you out of Perdido.
Nancy, why don't you come back with me?
You're crazy.
You're wrong about your father. He wants you back. You've hurt him, but he loves you. Why not come back with me?
No.
You'd rather stay in Perdido with Enderby?
Yes.
Then I'll have to take you.
Stop it. Let go of the rein.
Don't worry. If he really loves you, he'll come after you. Sounds like he's worked himself free.
And you'll soon be sorry you ever saw Perdido.
You'll have to catch us first. Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Are we going to ride all night?
The idea is to lose Dave, isn't it? We go on.
Please, can we slow down?
After we cross the Rio Grande.
Oh, please. Can't we stop and rest?
I guess we can. He'll be catching up with us about now. Between the two of us, we've left a clear enough trail.
Between the two of us?
You think I didn't notice you dropping things along the way? If the trail was any longer, you'd have had a problem in modesty. Come on. We'll make camp here and have breakfast.
You wanted him to follow us.
Of course. I don't get paid without him.
Time was when the sedan chair was considered the height of luxury. When you think of all the places you go and all the things you now do by radio, a sedan chair doesn't seem like much of a luxury at all. Tuned to a radio network like the CBS radio network, you can, in a matter of moments, travel to foreign capitals to learn what's happening to individuals or whole nations at a time. Because a network like CBS radio is made up of many stations, stations like the one you're listening to now, the smartest supper clubs from New York to San Francisco invite you to dance to the music of their big-name bands night after night. Because CBS Radio's vast network facilities extend in every direction, you can laugh with the funniest comedians in Hollywood or on Broadway. Then move on to a serious discussion of space-age problems, and all in the course of an evening. By all means, use that sedan chair if you have one. But if you want to go places fast, take CBS Radio along.
Have some more bacon? No?
You simply used me to bring him out of Perdido.
No. Let's say I accomplished two purposes with one action. To take you back to your father where you belong, and to get Enderby to the gallows where he belongs.
It was more of your lies about my father still warning me, about Dave shooting him.
Dave tried to shoot him in the back, the way he'll try to shoot me, now that he's here.
What do you mean?
He's up there in the rocks behind me, isn't he?
How did you know?
I've been watching your eyes, depending on them to warn me. Now, if you...
No, Dave!
See how he works? If there's a way of crawling around to a man's back, he finds it.
You're wrong. The Besides, I don't care how he does it, just so he kills you.
But that last shot might have killed you.
You're crazy. He's my husband. He came after me.
Not because he loves you, but because nobody takes anything away from him.
He doesn't know. He thinks... Dave! Dave, I didn't leave you. He forced me. Come and get him.
You get down. You wasted your breath. He won't come. He won't face a fair fight even for you.
You're wrong.
I'll prove it. All right. Enderby. Here I come. All right, Enderby. You've got a good shot at me now. And so have I at you. You want to finish it? You're welcome to try.
No. No, I give up.
Dave, are you all right?
Listen, Paladin, I make a deal with you. It's really her the old man wants, not me. You take her and let me go.
Dave!
What about it, Paladin?
No deal. I'll take you both.
Arch! Arch!
Yes, sir, Mr. Reed.
Someone just rode into the yard. You better get outside there and...
Mr. Paladin.
And Enderby.
Delivered. Breathing.
Well, not for long.
Wait, you can't shoot me. I got a right to a hearing.
Mr. Reed.
Just a minute, Mr. Reed. $1,000 first. I like things orderly. A bank draft will do.
Well, I have it all written out. There's your blood money, bounty hunter. Now get out.
Thank you for sticking to the letter of our agreement. I'll do the same.
You did. I paid you. Hey, give me my gun.
I didn't agree to become an accessory to murder.
You're in cahoots, the two of you. Suckered me for $1,000, gonna ride off laughing.
Not Dave. The law will take care of him.
And you figure to pick up the reward, too.
No. That belongs to Nancy.
Nancy?
Outside. But there's no use bringing her in. You said you never wanted to see her again.
She had the nerve to come back here, did she? I'll give her what for. Nancy! You come here! All right. Look up at me. Come on.
Dad, your leg.
Oh, I'm all right.
Are you sure? How do you feel?
Well, how do you think I feel? With a daughter ain't got no more sense than to stand out here in the sun when she's got a house to go into. Now, go on. You get to your room. You get washed up. You look like you've been in a stampede. Now, go on. Get Nancy, girl.
All right, Dad.
Oh, Mr. Paladin, so happy to see you back in San Francisco. All okay.
Hello, hey boy.
Oh, I brought lots of papers to your room, Mr. Paladin, and a pretty lady leave letter.
Oh? Well, it's nice to be home.
No one we know of approves of wasting money. In spite of that, however, we Americans are often guilty of wasting our money by the uses we make of our government facilities. Take the operation of the post office, for example. Mostly out of habit, many offices and individuals post outgoing mail at the end of the day. In so doing, they leave post office employees with too little work to do at other times of the day. In addition, we forget to include zone numbers as part of the address. In both ways, we're slowing down the entire system for delivering mail and adding to the cost of our postal operation. The problem is simple enough to solve. Start solving it tomorrow. If you will arrange to post letters and packages earlier in the day and include zone numbers on the return address as well as the outgoing address, you'll help our post office operate more efficiently for you and at less cost, too. Remember, for faster, more economical service, mail early in the day and include zone numbers. Have Gun, Will Travel. Created by Herb Meadow and Sam Rolfe, is produced and directed by Norman McDonnell, and stars John Dehner as Paladin, with Ben Wright as Hayboy. Tonight's story was written by Sam Rolfe and adapted for radio by John Dunkel. Featured in the cast were Paul Dubov, Gene Bates, Joseph Kearns, William Allen, Don Diamond, Howard Culver, and Lillian Baeff. Hugh Douglas speaking. Join us again next week for Have Gun, Will Travel.
"66 years ago, January 18th, 1959, Have Gun Will Travel on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Up next, an episode of Claudia.
The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly. But then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com.
Our country was founded by men who had faith in God and who were willing to endure hardship and sacrifice for the sake of that faith. In these troubled times, there is need to support a way of life based on the enduring principles of religion, which knit the family together, make for good citizenship, and build the character of the children. The religious institutions in your community need your interest and support, so take an active part in religious affairs. Your pastor, rabbi, or priest will give you invaluable family counsel and aid if you're a newcomer to the community. To face the problems of the future, America must be morally strong, and that moral strength comes through worship and faith. Go to church this week and take someone with you.
We wrap up this episode of Classic Radio Theater with an episode of Claudia. This goes back 76 years, January 18th, 1949.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you transcribed Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Are you thirsty, David?
What's that?
I said, are you thirsty?
No. Why should I be thirsty?
Well, I don't know. You look thirsty.
I don't feel thirsty.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to read my newspaper.
Oh. Is reading such an effort for you?
Only since I've been married.
That is something else about men.
What is something else about men?
Everything is since they've been married. They can't read since they've been married. They can't eat since they've been married. They can't go out with rubbers since they've been married. It's awful, isn't it? Since they've been married.
Who said anything about it being awful? Oh, that was a good dinner.
I beat you to the draw, David. I bet you eat better since you're married.
Much.
Last, an improvement. Just for that, I'll come over and kiss you.
Now, stay away from me.
Don't you like to be kissed since you've been married?
Claudia, you hoodlum, my pipe will burn your hair. Now, look out.
I love the smell of burning hair.
There. Now you've had your kiss. Skadoodle. Go on. Get away. Scat.
everywhere I get pushed around since I've been married.
It's a pity about you.
I think I'm thirsty.
Why don't you go get something to drink?
Well, I don't think I'm that thirsty.
Then don't get something to drink.
Just for that, I will get something to drink.
Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Anything is better than having to sit still, isn't it?
I don't think you realize that my getting something to drink is pure sacrifice.
You want me to be able to read in peace? Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Heavens, no. I am trying to keep up with our milk supply.
No thirst could quench that.
David, do you realize how much milk we have?
I certainly do.
And have you been in the icebox lately?
No, I have no desire to be in the icebox lately. Now go get yourself a glass of milk or whatever it is you want and leave me to my newspaper.
I really think the only solution is to have another baby. David, do you hear what I said? The only solution is to have another baby?
I'm ignoring you.
After all, it's a crime to waste perfectly good milk. And babies is the best thing for using it up. We'll save money in the long run.
Your ideas as to how to save money should be passed on to the Treasury Department.
Oh, for heaven's sake, will you look at this refrigerator? I wish you'd come in and look at this refrigerator.
I prefer to know how to save money.
Well, that's perfectly simple. One saves money when one doesn't waste things. If we have a baby in order not to waste milk, we're saving milk. Therefore, the baby is that much cheaper. So we save money. You follow me, David?
I'm just managing to keep up.
Well, I wish you'd also manage to come in here and look at something.
You heard me. I will not budge.
All right, don't budge.
I won't.
I'll be right back in the living room. Gee, certainly a good thing we bought a refrigerator this size. That's all I can say. Would have been a ruinous thing if we hadn't bought a refrigerator big enough for a cow. Honestly, when we bought that refrigerator, I had no idea a cow'd be such a much. Did you?
Did I what?
Did you think a cow'd be so much of a much?
No, I must say I never thought of it in exactly those terms.
Here,
no.
David.
Now, Claudia, is that for me?
Oh, go on, take it.
I told you I wasn't thirsty.
I don't care whether you're thirsty or not. It's milk. You have to drink it.
You drink it.
The other glass is for me.
Well, drink both of them.
I will not. I am floating in milk already.
Well, then float a little more.
Now, listen, David. Majesty is half your cow.
Has nothing to do with
the
it.
The least you can do is to drink half her milk.
Now, Claudia, will you take that glass of milk from under my nose, or else I'm going to...
Or else what? You don't frighten me.
Take that glass of milk off from under my nose. I'm stuffed with dinner, I tell you.
Well, milk will wash it down.
Oh, Claudia, take it away.
Oh, all right. Here, I'll put it on the table next to you, and when you get thirsty, you can drink it.
I will never get thirsty again.
Neither will I. But I'm drinking. You see, I'm just that kind of a good sport.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations.
Thanks. And we would waste less milk if two of us were good sports.
Now, look, darling, I drank milk at dinner. You remember? I drank milk at breakfast.
That's right.
I will drink a glass of milk before going to bed. But, and I repeat, but I will not drink a glass of milk now.
All right. But I'll still just leave it here on the table. Give me a piece of your newspaper.
What for?
I want to put it under the glass so I won't stain the table.
Can't you use a coaster for that?
The coasters are on the other side of the room. The paper's in your lap.
The newspaper is not made to go under a glass of milk.
Oh, you're so stuffy.
Whenever I say anything you don't like, you call me stuffy. But it's all right. It's all right. I don't mind. It's all right.
No. I never really liked milk till Mama stopped telling me it was good for me. I think that's the psychology to use. You don't really like things that are good for you, ever. And here I am drinking a glass of milk without a thought of how good it is for my bones. I don't really mind it much. Oh, David, go on, have a sip. Not for your bones, just for me.
Well, if I did have a sip, it would be for my bones.
You know, I had no idea Majesty's milk production would be so high. Did you, David?
Well, Matthew Warren said she was his finest milker when we bought her from him.
Well, I didn't believe him. At least I just didn't believe that one cow could give so much milk.
About 20 quarts a day.
20 quarts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no wonder it feels like so much. David, there is no question about it. It's either a feast or a famine with a cow. Right now it's a feast.
Well, I'm not complaining.
You're not drinking either. Yep, just 3 weeks ago it was a famine.
It was not a famine. The cow was dry.
Well, it was a drought. Same thing. Then Majesty had her calf, and all of a sudden, milk, milk, and more milk coming out of her ears. I mean, my ears. So, my good man, you're going to have to get yourself in the frame of mind to drink
Now,
it.
look, Claudia, I'm doing my fair share. I take cereal for breakfast just so I can use some milk in it.
Sweet of you.
I take my coffee with cream. I used to drink it black, you know that.
Dear.
Bertha's making nothing but souffles and puddings and cream chicken and cream this and cream that and junket, and I haven't seen a steak or a piece of fruit in this house for weeks. And you are accusing me of not doing my fair share. My blood is turning to milk in my veins.
But in spite of your noble efforts, we are not keeping up with
Then
Majesty.
throw the rest of it away.
Throw away milk. David, you're insane. Nobody throws away milk these days.
Oh, I didn't mean to throw it away exactly, but don't expect me to take more of it.
Well, I must say, I certainly never expected things to turn out like this.
She's a fine cow.
Too fine a cow. You know, she's really not a one-family cow.
Now, who wants a one-family cow? When you have a cow, you have the best.
Then have a glass of milk.
Oh, listening to you is like listening to a record that got stuck in one groove.
Do you realize, David, the kitchen's starting to smell like a dairy?
Well, the smell of a dairy is a good smell.
In a dairy. Not all over the house. David, the refrigerator looks as if we're in business. Bottles of milk, bottles of cream, bars of butter, skim milk, butter. Do you think the calf would like a little more skim milk, maybe?
No.
Well, after all, Majesty is the calf's own mother. You'd think the calf would be a little more possessive about the skim milk.
The calf is too old to live on milk alone. She's being weaned.
We shouldn't have started weaning her so soon. That was our first mistake. Anyway, David, I do want you to take a look at the refrigerator,
Well,
will
if you must know, I saw it.
When?
When I came home.
What were you doing in the refrigerator?
I was thirsty.
Did you have a glass of milk?
No, I had a glass of Coca-Cola.
David, there is actually no room for anything else.
There's no room for
And
anything
Fritz
else.
spends all his day churning and separating and pasteurizing. Majesty is a very superior cow. She's too superior.
Do you want to give her back?
Give her back.
Yeah.
You crazy?
No.
I adore her. And the calf, the spitting image of Majesty. I just only wish she'd dry up a little. Or we could have another baby.
Or she'd have another calf.
David, no.
Oh, what?
Is she going to have another calf when?
Now, who said anything about her having another calf?
You just did.
Oh, Claudia, now,
But
please.
you did.
I did not.
And David, if that calf turns out to be a cow, and she starts giving milk, and the calf we have now gives milk, and Majesty keeps on giving milk at the rate she's giving milk, David, we will be a dairy farm.
We're a dairy farm now.
So we are. Life is pretty rugged on a farm, all this milk.
What about the baby? Is he drinking his share?
Hey, now listen. Now, you just listen here. Don't you go blaming your offspring for this superabundance. You know, I've been thinking we ought to raise some milk-fed chickens. That'd save us money.
Oh, sure, it'd save a lot. We'd have to get all sorts of chicken equipment. Incubators, wire nettings, chicken feed. Then when we're all set, the cow would go dry.
That is life.
It's not as if we had enough milk for us to go into business.
Do you mean sell it?
Oh, what's the matter? Yes, I mean sell it.
You mean our milk? Sell it to somebody else?
You wouldn't part with an ounce of it, I suppose.
Well, I just want to be sure that somebody appreciates it. Why, it's the best milk for miles around. And you should see how much cream there is in it, David.
I've seen,
Why,
thank you.
Fritz says he's never seen anything like it. And you'll have to admit that it is delicious, David.
Yes, it was. The first 30 quarts I drank were fine.
Maybe I ought to learn to make cheese. Oh, no, we have no room in the icebox for cheese. Listen, maybe we ought to get a deep freeze and start storing butter.
Mm-hmm. And when will we use it?
On a rainy day.
Darling, no matter how many schemes you cook up, we'll never catch up with Majesty. She's that kind of a cow.
She certainly makes me feel inadequate. You'd never know to look at her that so much was going on behind her eyes. One week she has a calf. Beautiful calf with soulful brown eyes. And the next week the dam breaks and milk, milk, milk. All out of the same little cow. For all that, she never looks as if she's making any effort at all.
Well, she isn't.
What a business. You know, I wonder if man will ever be able to invent anything as practical as a cow.
I doubt it.
Too bad for us.
Too good for us. Now that we have milked the subject dry, will you let me go back to my newspaper?
All right. On one condition, darling.
All right, I'll promise anything.
Drink your glass of milk.
I knew it. All right, anything. Claudia. Claudia, this isn't milk.
Why, of course it is. You certainly don't think I'd give you anything else at this crisis, do you?
This is not pure milk.
David, now don't shout. It is pure milk. It's more than pure milk.
Well, what is it?
It's half milk and half cream.
No.
Have you been up and at it since early this morning with beds, dishes, cleaning, and countless household chores to do? Then why not pause to refresh with ice-cold Coca-Cola? Folks in offices and factories know the value of working refreshed. Coke can bring you the same refreshment if you keep your home refrigerator well stocked. Remember to carry home a carton of Coke next time you're at the market or drugstore.
Say, Joe, I brought you a little present.
Well, presents are always welcome.
But here, have this one. Have a glass of milk.
Oh, well, will you see David?
No. Go right on. Take it. Don't be shy.
It's not shyness, it's loyalty and preference that makes me refuse. I'm strictly a Coca-Cola man.
Well, I can't say I blame you for that. Say, Joe, can you tell me how long is this milk flood going to last?
Cheer up, David. Today the flood, tomorrow the drought.
Well, that's encouraging. I'll drink this last glass of milk with a less accusing eye. Good night, Joe.
Good night. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney.
76 years ago, January 18th, 1949, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. On Monday, we're going to have a full 90-minute episode of The Big Show. We could never do this on radio when we were doing our own old Classic Radio Theater program, but you'll be able to hear 90 minutes of some of the best entertainers of 1951 in that variety show. That's all coming up on Monday's Classic Radio Theater. But have yourself a great Saturday, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.
The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly, but then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com. The future is a hefty responsibility and not one that we take lightly, but then taking things lightly has never been what Hefty is about. That's why we've created the Hefty Renew program that turns hard-to-recycle plastics into valuable resources like park benches and building materials. To participate, simply fill up an orange Hefty Renew bag with accepted items, tie it up, and drop it in with your regular recycling. That's it. It's that easy. It's time to rethink recycling with Renew. Particular valued resources may vary by geography. More info available at heftyrenew.com.